Hark the voice of Jesus calling. Come and work for him today. The fearless one and the harvest.
Welcome to Geeks and Grounds, a monthly game club and bi-weekly podcast where we play games and brew thoughtful conversation together. In case you're new or you need a refresher, we focus on one game a month, really percolating over it, if you will, so we can deep dive into its themes and mechanics and make those connections between what we're playing and our lives. Back in the virtual cafe today, we have the intrepid wanderer of the Zero, Katie of Katie and Catburger. How are you, Katie?
Hi, I'm doing well. I'm so sorry. My phone just turned off. I need to switch to my webcam. I apologize.
No, it's
I'm
just
glad
a
it
moment
went
of
off
zen.
now. Yeah, just a quick moment of zen. I swear to God, being
Oh
a
my
VTuber
gosh.
is not worth it, man.
And I'd love to shout out, you inspired me to bring out my PNG tubers. So we are just like fully in the virtual world today, which is
It's
really,
great.
really exciting.
We're here in the new flesh today.
Yes, exactly.
Just like a dominant T-pose for everybody.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. I'm so sorry.
And while you're doing that, no worries. This month, we've been playing Kentucky Route Zero, a poetic odyssey that weaves through individual tales of debt, loss, and grief. It shows how communities fight for their place here, even when the systems are set up for them to fail. Oh my gosh, this game is a slow burn, but it is a good burn. And I am so excited to be discussing it today in detail with Katie. If you haven't gotten started yet, it's not too late. Be sure to pick it up and join the conversation in Discord. It is a flourishing conversation. Oh my gosh, there's so many screenshots and thoughts in there. And our virtual hangout in Discord is at 3 p.m. Pacific on February 28th, this coming Saturday. And you can join the server and find out more on geeksandgrounds.com. But yay, I think you have returned to us,
Here,
Katie.
I'm back. Sorry,
Yay.
brief intermission.
It's okay. That's like perfect, like vamping housekeeping time. You timed
Nailed
it
it
perfectly.
Yeah. It's all on purpose, too. It's all 100% on purpose.
This is a well-oiled machine. Nobody could say anything wrong or bad about us.
No one could say anything wrong or bad about us
Yeah.
unless they want to suffer the legal consequences.
Exactly. Our people will call your people for sure.
All right. Jenny, can I tell you a little bit about this game?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Kentucky Route Zero is a magical, surrealist text adventure / visual game. It's a little bit hard to give a one-sentence pitch about it because it is such a
Right.
unique, one-of-a-kind thing.
Mm-hmm.
So let's dive into like some of the major elements here. The mechanics.
Yes.
Very, very minimalistic. There's not a lot of verbs here.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you're walking around, like either the scene, you're wandering around on foot, or you're navigating on the road via a truck, or maybe a river on a riverboat or a ferry. And so there's the navigating, and then there's the conversations, which are these text-based interactions, which are very poetic in nature. And while you do have choices, it very, very rarely matters to the actual events of the game. But I would argue that the choices actually matter quite a bit, even though they don't change what you see.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And yeah, I was impressed with even how minimalistic the like game mechanics were. I was fully immersed. There were some times, I will admit, it does go slowly. So patience is a virtue that I think if you are to draw, I think the most enjoyment out of this game, you probably need to channel. But it is so much fun to just navigate the highways, the roads, and not necessarily see what's coming up. I think that was one of the most delightful things for me, especially in Acts 1 and 2, where you don't know really what's ahead on the roads in front of you. And I thought that was so neat how they did that mechanically.
Yeah. Like actually the road appears in front of you, especially in Act 2 on the Zero. I love that too.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And it kind of goes in a circle. And I have this like this way I think about it, where it's like when you're lost, like the stereotypical thing is you're like, oh, we saw that tree before. But like here, like you're like, I'm positive I went in a circle, but that tree isn't there anymore.
Right. Oh my gosh. So,
So
what about? Oh, go ahead.
let me tell you about the audio.
Hmm.
So the soundtrack, it's a lot of like droning electronic ambiance. The devs here kind of got their start in sort of electronic art and like analog electronics art, and so this sort of droning electronic ambiance is really kind of evoking these sort of hums of servos and capacitors and what have you. I don't know. Do capacitors have a hum? I don't actually know.
Yeah.
What are electronic things that hum?
Right. It's like I
Pop quiz.
think they do. I assume, but I actually have no
Things that
idea.
hum. TV cathode rays. I know they hum.
I guess like I know when I record, even like with my computer, aside from the fan, there is like that little bit of feedback for anyone who does like audio recording. I feel like maybe familiar with this, where it's like even if there's no overt sound in the room, sometimes you get a little bit of that something on your mic if you're around a lot of technology. So that must
Yeah.
be it.
Yeah, I think that's certainly the vibe and what it's evoking, this sort of sense of presence with electronics. And there's a lot of like computer history woven throughout the game
Right.
in really subtle ways. So I think it's kind of in conversation with that. And in addition to that, each act has at least one musical interlude. Usually they're these Appalachian folk songs. And the themes of the song are always in direct conversation with the story themes that you're currently playing through, which is a great
Yeah.
detail.
Yeah, it was what I loved most too is with the slow pacing of this game, you actually get time to stand and listen to the lyrics of the music, which I feel like in a lot of movies and video games, I am often having to choose between like engaging with what's going on visually in the story, but then also listening to the lyrics and trying to pay attention to everything all at the same time. And this game does a really good job of letting you take advantage of breaks to just like process things and allow the music to
Yeah.
help you process things.
That is such a good point. It's something that's really only available to you in a gameplay format. It's really doing such a good job leveraging the art form.
Yeah, I love it so much. And we'll get into details a little bit later, but the presentation of the musical interludes that they have in each act, they were so delightful. And surprising. I mentioned last time we were recording how there was
Yeah.
one in particular, the very first one I'll mention. I know this is technically our non-spoiler sections, but it's so early. You hear the music, and as the camera pans, you'll see the band playing, and it adds this element of theater and I don't even know, but it just adds this sort of theatrical element to it that I just loved. And the first time it happened was a joy because I was like, this is something special.
Yeah, it really catches you off guard.
Yeah.
Because you hear it and then you're like, oh my gosh, they're right there. Wait, where am I in relation to the scene I'm seeing?
Right. Yeah. It feels like very like Greek theater or Shakespearean, where it's like you have the chorus and then you have like the band or the instrumentalists, and they're like this other distinct part of the show. Whereas I feel like in a lot of games and movies, especially because games and movies, games draw a lot from cinema. And I think it's really cool that live music and performance play such a role in this game because that's such a theatrical thing compared to like a Hollywood thing.
Yeah,
So,
that's such a good point. I
yeah.
didn't think about that at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the visuals.
Hmm.
We have this, for the actual visuals, we have this very flat vector art style. There's no faces, which I found to be a really interesting detail. What did you think of that? What'd you make of that?
I also found it really interesting because I think I saw I got to the point where the characters were so strongly characterized in my head. I think I was seeing faces even though I knew technically the art had none, which was a really weird, like, I don't know. It's not a disconnect because it almost feels more connected because I feel like I really understood the characters the way I was interpreting them.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting because there are moments where you look and you're like, wait, no, they don't have eyes or a mouth or expressions even.
The pacing of the game is so slow, and I feel like that kind of matches with these sort of, like you're saying, like it gives you room to connect with the characters, and because that sort of matches with the pacing of the game, because it really gives you space as the player to kind of like get in here. Get in here.
Yeah.
You're with us too. We're not here spoon feeding you this stuff like it's The Last of Us and here's another gorgeous cinematic scene and a touching thing that's going to make you cry or whatever. No, you find the meeting. You're in here with us.
Right. Well, and what's cool is that it allows for that flexibility of meaning too. It's like not just, you don't just find the meaning, you find your meaning. And that may be something different from what someone else is interpreting from the same character, same body posturing, but maybe they see like a look of sadness where you're seeing maybe a look of frustration, you know? So it's just really cool to think about the ways it opens up interpretation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And also the environments that you're in, they were designed kind of with the same way that you would think about theater sets. So they're very, there's a lot of implied reality, if that makes sense.
Right.
Which in the same way that a theater set might like imply a sunset, the scenes that we're seeing here that you're moving around sort of imply a sunset, or like imply that this is dusk, imply that the sun has now just set. I'm thinking of the different scenes we see in Act 1 as I'm saying that.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the idea of implication because I think I was thinking around that word, but I hadn't put that word to it. So I think I love that you made that word specifically for this, for this conversation. Cause yeah, it's kind of incredible. And like theater, again, and we're going to talk a lot about theater because that's just such a strong reference point for this game. But I love the ways that visually they play with like indoors and outdoors, even in the narrative that is like a thematic question that they ask quite often.
Yes.
But visually they do so much where you have these scenes that are also so expansive and scenes that feel so claustrophobic, and whether they are inside or outside can be very much up to interpretation depending on what's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then sort of in contrast with that, we have our black and white navigation scenes, which have even less definition to them than our faceless characters. What did you think about that they chose to make those scenes black and white?
I really loved it. And it's really interesting because so much of this game is like gray and very, not like muddied colors necessarily, but they're all very much these shades of not black or white. And so when you get these very stark colors, it is like a little jarring and surprising. And it really sort of puts you into this different headspace, which as we talk about navigating some of these maps and scenes, it's just like really cool. But I also loved, because you mentioned a lot of the reference to like Colossal Cave adventures and like the early computer games. And so I thought a lot about that too when playing.
Yes, I think that's such a good pull. Like, it's kind of like that early electronic art like you would have on just an IBM computer where it's like, draw a line. And like, that's all you have. And like, what if you made this whole reality out of just that? It's so cool.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. And again, it's really funny how with especially the black and white navigation moments, how even through text, you really start to use your imagination in ways that, like, I don't know, you just don't when you're playing games that have hyperrealism or like a ton of visual detail. And that's great because you get to lean on like what the artists have created there, but it's just a whole different feeling when you have not much to work on and your brain starts to fill in the gaps, and that's really fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So shall we go into the overall story?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know, man.
I know. I'm like the challenge and the struggle.
I'll tell you the setup. So a furniture delivery man is lost and he needs directions. And then a bunch of stuff happens. So
like
I would say
adventure.
like every good adventure. did I throw out the word catabasis last time in our last episode?
You did
'Cause I'm
not,
obsessed
but
with the word
please,
catabasis.
yes, please. Oh my gosh, I love this. Describe what catabasis is for folks who like maybe haven't heard it or maybe haven't read the recent book.
Yes.
Like
A catabasis, it is the Greek word for a journey underground. Like Dante's
Mhm.
Inferno is like the catabasis story. So you go
Mhm.
underground and then you come up at the end. Alice in Wonderland is another story of a catabasis. Alice in Wonderland is another catabasis story.
Mhm.
And so this Kentucky Route Zero is a classic catabasis story.
Yes. Niche
Um,
genre that I actually am realizing I love.
I know,
What?
right? So it's very much about being lost. It's very much about going underground as deep as you can go, and it's about collecting sort of a band of misfit compatriots, and you or them or some collection of people try to figure out where the heck they are and where they're going. And that's
Mhm.
really the story, I would say.
Yeah, and what I think is, I don't know, again, you hear this saying all the time, it's not about the destination, it's like the journey along the way. But this game truly is the journey along the way. Like, this is
Yeah.
100% that statement.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jenny, would you recommend this game? I kind of get the sense you might like it.
I absolutely would recommend this game. I struggle though, and I recommend this game wholeheartedly, but with an asterisk of like I think people should be prepared to go in and like not understand stuff and know that
Yeah,
that's okay. And I think
yeah,
people should go in prepared to have a lot of reading at times, especially in some of these later acts. It does get quite dense, and I don't think because some folks, I even like in the server and via email, some folks are like, I hope to like just binge this game over the weekend. And I'm like, I thought that
Uh-oh.
too. And I truly think this is a game that should be taken slowly for
Yeah.
maximal enjoyment. So
Mm.
I think you have to go into this game with a mindset. And you mentioned this last time as well, but like reading poetry,
Mhm.
where it should be taken slowly. You should think about repetition. And honestly, as nerdy as it sounds, I mean, we're all here, so maybe
We're
it's
here.
not that nerdy.
Right. This
I
is the
think
place.
I think you should be prepared to like play this with people, discuss it, and do outside research because this is a
Mhm.
game that benefits from external knowledge and you thinking about implications of sort of what these characters are experiencing through
Yeah.
like the actual lens of your life because that's what this game is about.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really well put. Um, as far as the type of player, I would recommend it to
Mhm.
you. Or excuse me. As far as the type of player, I would recommend it to. I can talk. I know words. Uh, I actually have a hot take for that. I think
Yeah.
that this game is best played by somebody who has never played video games before.
Yeah. Oh, like say more about that. I love that.
So the reason I say this is because I made this really long video about Kentucky Route Zero, and
Mhm.
the best feedback that I got, I talked about a bunch of people, like fellow video essayists, about it while I was making it, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, I've been meaning to play that, but oh, I tried to play that, but I got stuck because it's so slow." And I was like, "That's so fair. That is so valid."
Mhm.
But after I released it, I got really positive feedback from people from Appalachia, or not, but a lot of people from
Mhm.
Appalachia who were like, I've never played a video game before. I didn't know video games could do this. Like, I think this is the game that can get non-video people who are like, I'm not really interested in interacting with art in that way. Like, oh, well, try
Mhm.
this one. Try this one out. Because
Yeah.
this is a very different mode of interactive art that I think a lot of people don't get access to, and it's it requires a certain kind of mindset, I guess.
Yeah, I honestly playing this, we haven't used like the word visual novel to describe this, but I feel like approaching this like a novel or a book or a visual novel maybe is the most beneficial way for a gamer or non-gamer to
Yeah.
bring themselves to this. And I think you're right, like people who don't have the expectation of video game means XYZ mechanics and this much feedback and the juice and like all of
The
that stuff.
juice.
Um I think That's a really great point. I love that. And honestly, this is like the kind of audience, at least for my own goals, I hope to reach are people who wouldn't consider themselves gamers and don't understand that this is a medium that tells incredible stories. And like
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky Route Zero is one of those stories you can't tell in any other medium but a video game with how it's formatted, which is, makes it
Yeah.
extra special, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I completely agree.
Awesome. Well, what we're going to do, this was our non spoiler section for Kentucky Route Zero. We are going to do a deep dive. Now, I want to add a very big caveat to that
Okay.
because there is no way in the time we have, the constrained podcast time we have, we can go
Sorry.
into every every single detail that we want to about Kentucky Route Zero. We would be here for days, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
as you are listening, we're going to go through each act sequentially. We're going to do a highlight of like the main story beats. And as we do that, we'll talk through questions. Thank you for everyone who submitted a question. We'll talk through some of our favorite moments, thoughts about the act overall, and then we will move on and we will likely miss things.
Mm-hmm.
So
So many things.
if you have something you'd like to mention, please do so in the comments. Or again, or hop into our discussion in Discord at the end of this week because that's why we have multiple places and spaces to do this because there's no one space that we could probably fit everything into. So
Real.
yeah, there we go. Are you ready, Katie? I
Let's
feel
get
like
into it.
I feel like we're going into the zero doing this right now because it's
We
like
are.
so hefty. Um, so we begin in Act One at the beginning, where everyone begins, and we are introduced to Conway and his unnamed pup at is it Equus Oils?
Equus oils.
Equus.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Equus oils, like horse. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I was like. The W is throwing
It
me
is
for a
weird.
mini
I
loop.
don't know what that's about. It
Yeah.
probably means something.
Right. Exactly. Like everything in this game. But yes, we're at Equus Oils. We learn, as Katie already summarized, we're attempting to do a delivery to 5 Dogwood Drive, but we have no idea how to get there. We meet Joseph, the gas station attendant, who tells us to use his computer to find the address of one Weaver Marquez, who can help Conway get to the zero, which will ultimately lead him to his destination. Uh, First impressions, any details you wanted to like include about at least like the gas station in this first scene that we see our characters in.
Yes. Oh my gosh. First of all, I knew that I was on board with a game that I liked when I talked to the computer and like games. And you said, "Oh, what are the games?" And it was like, "There is no games."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, what are we doing here?"
Right.
Um, and anyway, just an aside, Joseph Wheattree is the full name of the gas station attendant, and he's named for Joseph Weizenbaum, who created Eliza, which is the first sort of therapy chatbot. So we're already inserting in some computer history here. And
Yeah.
pretty much all the characters are named from somebody. I'm not going to go through them all, but just there's the first one for you.
Yeah. And I think, again, it's like what I hope with this, if you're listening and maybe you're still playing or you haven't played yet and you're just hoping to listen to like prime yourself, I hope this encourages you and highlights things that you can search up later that like really pique your interest, like whether it's names of characters and who they tie to historically. I think that's just a little shout out again.
Oh yeah.
The
There's
teacher
a
in me is
really
like,
do your own research.
yeah.
There is a fantastic wiki called the Consolidated Power Company, which will come up later. That it's a really fantastic resource. It's not complete. There is no complete Kentucky Route Zero resource, but it's a lot of the like connections are included in there. So it's a good place to go if you have questions.
Yes, it really is. A popular question that we got in the Discord, shout out to Chris of Honest Indies and Valis and Emily and 2 anonymous folks who also asked via email. But I am curious, what did you choose to name your dog and what pushed you towards that decision? Because you get 3 options. You get his name is Homer, her name is Blue, and I believe
No
his
name.
name, yeah, no name actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've played this game a couple of times, so
Mhm.
I'll tell you the order. First time, her name was Blue because, like, come on, girls rock. Uh, and then after playing it through the first time, I actually decided Homer was a little bit more appropriate because we're on our long journey home.
Mhm.
So I went for Homer the second time.
Yeah. Oh, I love
What about
that.
you?
I was torn because Homer, honestly, I was like, wow, it's saying something if I pick Homer because the Odyssey reference and everything, like, come on.
Yeah.
But I picked Blue just because, I don't know, there was something about hearing Blue. I just felt like it fit her so well. And
She
so I
does
just,
look like a Blue.
yeah, she does look
Yeah.
like a Blue. And
Yeah.
girls rock again. So I was like, it
Girls
has
rock.
to be her.
I love that.
Yeah. One thing that I loved about the gas station is the most unmissable feature is this giant horse head. Um, because instantly it takes it from like, oh, this is sort of a retro futuristic, like sort
So
of
googie.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like
Googie
art
architecture.
piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. To like, okay, now we're getting into the realm of the surreal because this is like giant, like this is like almost theme park like extravagance in terms of this giant horse head,
Hmm.
which I loved. And horses are something I want to like shout out because this is something we'll see throughout the game, and it does become a very important symbolic through line. So yeah, just pointing the horse head out. Um, what I thought was also really striking is that as you go through, you like go into the basement of the gas station to turn on the power so that you can go on this computer. And the pathways of this basement are the horse's body and legs trapped
Yeah.
underground. And I'm like,
It's so cool.
oh my God. Like, just incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's striking. First of many horses, too.
Hmm. Hmm. Just to move us along narratively, we also meet a few other characters, Emily, Ben, and Bob, who are ghost-like figures playing D&D, I presumed.
Yeah, I can't remember what it has like a really I feel like it's like psychogeography, but I might be stealing that from a Disco Elysium
Right.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're playing this basically they're playing a tabletop game about being lost.
Hmm.
So here we are. Again, that
Exactly.
theme of being lost. It's back again, baby.
Right. And it's the first time we encounter like the fact that this is not quite a horror game, but it is an eerie game because as you try to like get closer to them, they don't hear you. And as you do your stuff in the basement and go back, they're gone. And so I was just instantly sort of put not necessarily on edge like a horror version of that, but just the anticipation was rising for sure.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and you're like, I don't know. It really sets up. I mean, I think it's really that magical surrealism is what we're seeing here. These
Right.
people playing a tabletop game and then they're gone. I
Hmm.
felt more in the magical realist tradition
Yeah.
than the horror tradition to me.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Um, as we head out, we say goodbye to Joseph. We do hear about an accident that happens, and we then go to the map on our way to the Marquez farmhouse because we got directions to go there. And I want to take a moment to pause and talk about this first map experience. And
Let's do it.
yeah, just what I know this is not your first time playing, but can you describe for yourself, like, what is it like to get onto that map for the first time, if you can remember it, or just this time when you played?
I remember going, "Whoa!" So I was really cool and chill about it.
Hmm. Hmm.
No, I was like, I was not as into. I remember the first time I played it, I was not as into sort of the flat, muted colors. I
Right.
got more into it later, let me tell you. But I really liked the aesthetic of the black and white
Yeah.
map. That's really really simplistic and sort of the immediate freedom of getting to go anywhere. Oh, that was so much fun.
Right. I was quite surprised because initially I went sort of on the main highway, the 65, and on a whim, I think I clicked like off on a side road, like, oh, I wonder if we could do this, and we could. And then I was like, wait, there are so many side roads. How long do we have to explore this area? This is so much.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you have a favorite stop?
oh my gosh. Honestly, so many. I think my ultimate favorite, and I've mentioned this a couple times in the Discord because I was just so obsessed with this. And this is honestly maybe one of the most striking images I remember from the game and will remember from the game. And it was just on a stretch of highway. I cannot remember which one, but it was two men. And the game describes them as two broken men pushing a plane down the
Mm.
highway.
Yes.
And you're watching them, and the scene is just you watching them push this plane until it's off screen if you choose to stay the entirety of that scene. And there was something about it that just
Yeah.
it gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
It's just this sort of Sisyphean moment almost.
Mhm.
And this juxtaposition of this flying machine grounded and these men still not letting it go. Like, just everything about that scene just grabbed me. I
Yeah.
still can't stop thinking about it. But yeah, what about you?
I think that the museum for me is
Ooh.
ultimately my favorite. There is, first of all, the museum, there is sort of a list of like text adventures, or like there's an archive of old text adventure projects. And in there, you can find a project written by Joseph Wheatree back at the gas station. And you can go back and talk to him about him if you want. You'll be like, I found your old play or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, oh, no kidding. Oh, that's crazy. And all of the rest of them are like actual text adventure projects, which is cool. It's like it's a really well researched piece of work that they're like, oh, we have so many favorites. Let's just put them all in a filing cabinet in our museum.
Right. Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah.
also, oh, please go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, what's kind of incredible is I don't know. I remember the museum, but I don't think I found the text adventures because I don't think I broke in. Because is that the one where
Oh,
you have the
good girl.
option to break in? I
Yeah, you gotta
regret
break
now. I
in.
should have done the crime, you know? Like,
I got to do a little bit of crime.
exactly. Which I learned as I progressed. I was like, you know what? Now I feel like we don't do the good things in this game. We do the things to get us more information. Oh, it's
But
cool.
also at the museum, there's also like a guest book or a ledger. I can't quite remember which it is. And then at the end of it, there's a horse on it. And at the end of it, the last page is a scene of a one-legged man at an adding machine, which somebody told me about that later. And I was like, no!
Oh my gosh.
So, like, they knew what they were doing. They knew exactly where they were
Wow.
going with this.
Which I love so much because I think, you know, again, this is our spoiler section, but so y'all had your warning already. But we know where Conway, like we know Conway's arc is not a happy one. And what's incredible is I was just, you know, as soon as I finished the game, going online, reading comments, reading reviews, and there are a decent number of people that are really unhappy and feel like Conway's ending was not thought through and that they just like dropped that
Really?
ending. Yeah, I was surprised at how
That's
many
surprising, yeah.
folks said that. And I think this is great. Disagree respectfully. But this is a great, like, in text example that shows it really wasn't, that this was
Yeah.
all intentional.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously.
Mhm.
Oh God, I love Conway's arc so much. That bums me out, man.
Me too. It's heartbreaking, but it's
Yeah.
so powerful.
Yeah. It's so heartbreaking, dude. But it's a sad game. It's far from the only saddest thing or even the saddest thing in the game.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, anyway. Yeah.
I did get the same question from three folks. So thank you to Valis B and Anonymous. They were wondering if we did much sightseeing or did we stick to the objectives as we played, and kind of reiterating any other favorite sites if you want to name a few more.
Yes. Let's see. Actually, what is the name? I'm trying to remember. if you do enough sightseeing, you do get a reward because you meet this character whose name I forget. He's got a weird name, and he's trying to put on a play, and he has big elk ears.
Carrington. I think.
Carrington!
Yes, Carrington. Yes.
So if you do enough sightseeing, you meet Carrington, and he's like this completely pretentious playwright, and he's trying to find a place to put on his play, and you can help him figure out where to put it on. And then now that you've met him in the first act, he's gonna keep showing up in all of the rest of the acts.
Yeah.
And Carrington doesn't get enough love in this world.
Oh my gosh. Well, and it's funny because I actually only know Carrington because I restarted the game this morning, actually.
Really?
Yeah, well, there were so many options I wasn't able to take in my first playthrough because of it's like the options left unpicked. And so I basically instantly was like, okay, I need to replay this game. And I didn't encounter Carrington my first time through.
Me neither.
And I am now. So I'm just like, oh my God. So there's rewards if you want to go back and replay for everyone listening.
Carrington is so great.
Yeah.
Another stop that kind of sticks with me is there are a couple of electrical co-ops that you can stop at, and they're just text interactions. And one of them is like old and overgrown, and you walk inside and it's like a campfire and there's like people sitting around it, and you can just sort of join them and they hand you a cup of something warm. And it's just such a nice moment.
Yes, I love that. I actually had flashes of Severance for some reason playing that section.
Okay,
because I was like, is this like an office like Severance where people are just sort of living in here and they haven't left? I don't know. I just started, it just flashed me to Severance for some reason.
I could
Not
see
in the
it.
game.
Yeah.
I definitely tried to do a lot of sightseeing once I realized that there was the sightseeing to be had.
Yeah.
I will say I wish I took more advantage of it because the game after Act 2, I think, after Act 2 or 3, kind of stops giving you that opportunity. And in my head, I had like planned for more opportunities to go back both to the zero and to like the upper highways. And so in this playthrough that I'm going through right now, I'm taking it much more slowly, like even more slowly than I did the first time, because I definitely think I missed out on quite a bit of sightseeing. I wanted to shout out this abandoned church that I found in Act 1.
The church is
Yeah.
so good.
It's incredible. So it's this abandoned, and this is a text adventure sort of moment. You don't see the actual church, but Conway hears music coming from the inside. You can't go through the front doors, so you go through the back, and you find essentially a tape player playing the hymns, and you have this option to turn it off, which I did. But this was one of the first instances of like religion and churches in the game that we see repeated throughout. And I'm honestly still mentally working through sort of like what that means to me and sort of what it means within the game. But it was just such a great, I don't know, again, another moment that was
so eerie, so uncanny.
Yeah, you just the whole time you're wondering what's going to happen and nothing really happens. Just
and it's
incredible.
Almost sadder that nothing happens.
You
know?
Right. It's like all this anticipation and then there's no catharsis for you. You're just kind of left hanging.
Yeah.
Which I guess is quite fitting thinking about the game.
In the setup episode, I talked about cruel optimism, and like that's really what I'm talking about when I talk about we're existing in this moment after the impasse, after the great tragedy has happened, and we're just sitting in the wake of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And just oh my gosh, I could just talk about this specific point forever, but let's moving on, I suppose. We should probably
I'll
keep
bring
going.
it up later, I promise.
Yes. as we travel, eventually we make our way as Conway to the Marquez farmhouse where Conway meets Weaver. He helps her set up this old TV. It shows this mysterious cave, and it looks to me like it was working, but she says it's done incorrectly. Conway doesn't really listen as she's saying it. He starts to zone out and stare at the barn outside. There's horses there, second horse mention. And eventually, Weaver tells Conway to find her cousin Shannon Marquez to help fix her TV. Before you leave the house, as this camera pans back from the barn, Weaver is then gone, and you are left alone in this farmhouse with your mission to go find Shannon to fix this TV and maybe eventually find the address that you came here for.
Yeah. And you're left with this question like, oh, is Weaver a ghost?
Yes.
We're back to
Oh
that
my
again.
gosh. Exactly. We're back to the eerie. Not scary, but just surreal.
Yeah.
Magical realism.
Yeah. It's like where fear meets sadness. You're like, oh, there was nothing to be afraid of. There's only things to
Right.
be sad about.
Right. You have this mention in the notes of like the half asleep moment. Could you describe that a bit more?
Yeah. So, I was briefly reviewing what this meant. So they talked about in one of the lectures, and I can drop this lecture like in the newsletter or something like that, about this concept of half asleep moments. And they talked about this idea of presence and telepresence. And telepresence is actually like a technical word that they use to talk about like the fidelity of the video. Like Cisco Systems has excellent telepresence, right? Because the picture is so clear.
Right.
And they thought it was really interesting to have this words that's specifically talking about the quality of your presence in your absence.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's what this half asleep moment is kind of referring to. Like, because it often happens when we're looking at TVs or looking at something with kind of a digital electronic vibe to it. And it just sort of helps you to zone out for a moment, basically. I mean, it's another way of talking about zoning out when you're watching TV or listening to the radio or something. And it's these half asleep moments that I think are kind of the moments when your soul is orienting yourself in this game.
Mm-hmm.
If you just sort of let yourself dissolve in them for a moment, it's good for the soul. It's just good for that's all I can say about it. It's good for the spirit to take a half asleep moment. Do a little bit of a mindfulness practice.
It really does. Well, and you hear a lot in articles in the news, just in sort of pop culture now, even about how like being bored. I think that's kind of like the colloquial, like sort of half asleep moment is like, hey, people don't get bored nowadays. There isn't that moment of just like mental like break, I guess, or rest.
One thing that I think is fascinating about this particular iteration of talking about that is the boredom conversation is often paired with these damn kids and their phones.
Right. Yep.
Discourse. But the half asleep moment is often aided by technology, which is really interesting, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I really love that. I also really loved the moment. So as we leave the house, I wanted to shout out again this like cutout sort of imagery that we have as we're inside. It reminded me of those books that I remember as a kid where it's like, here's the medieval castle, like cut out so you can see the inside.
The eyewitness books, they're so good, dude.
Eyewitness, thank you. I was like, what were the names of those books?
I was just talking about those earlier this week.
Right. They're back in the zeitgeist.
Yes.
But it reminded me of those. But again, we last time talked about like Death of a Salesman. The house, this farmhouse in particular, instantly, like for me was just this flashpoint of like, oh my God, Death of a Salesman reference. Because that house in the play is sort of designed to be cut so that you see the inside and the outside simultaneously. And so that for me was just so cool to have as like one of, again, the first scenes that you're like set in visually besides like the gas station.
Yeah.
But also, as you're running back towards your truck, this is the first like magical moment for me.
Yeah.
there's a song that starts to play, and the camera slowly pans back, and you see the silhouettes of the band singing this song as if they were there narrating your journey in real time as you're getting ready to go back onto
Yeah.
the road.
Yes.
My jaw dropped. Amazing.
And it's a song. You've got to walk this lonesome valley.
Mhm.
It's a song about going on a very, very long journey, and you have to
Yeah.
do it by yourself. There's just no way around it. You can't take a shortcut. You just simply have to go on the journey.
Mhm. Oh, it's so, so good. It's also one of my favorite songs from the soundtrack now because it's so ingrained in me as the like starting point
Yes.
of this whole adventure.
Truly, the real Kentucky Route Zero starts here.
It really does. It really, really does.
It's also my favorite song because my dog has separation anxiety. And so sometimes when she's like in her pen and she has to be on her pen by herself to practice, but I'm still there, but she hates it. I sing the song to her just to remind her that she has to walk this lonesome valley.
Oh my God. That is so cute.
Oh, she hates it.
Oh, little Pepper, we love. So, I guess before we start heading to the Elkhorn Mines, is there anything else you wanted to add on this, like, first sort of half of Act One?
I want to go to the mines. Let's go to the mines.
Okay, perfect. Let's go to the mines. So Conway, looking for Shannon. I think the way I found out she was at the mines, technically, I think we were maybe told by Weaver, but also I went to like Shannon's shop.
Shop, yeah.
Yeah. And you find out there also that she's at the mines. But when you get to the mine, you do meet Shannon, who is also, lo and behold, on a journey and looking for someone. You don't know who quite yet. They both end up going into the mines, and as they're exploring, Shannon shares the history of this mine. One of the main thing being that it flooded, trapped many miners inside, and died. And it flooded because of the irresponsibility and the sort of exploitation of this power company that's in the area.
Yeah.
As they exit, Conway injures his leg, and I forgot to put this in the notes, but Shannon also sees what is it? Essentially a huge pile of helmets, and they both end up on the other side of the mines, exploring a little shed that's on the outside of the cavern, and get ready to return to the Marquez farm. So I'll pause there. Summary done. I guess I'd love to have you kick off the mine section.
Okay.
Anything you'd like to highlight here?
Oh my gosh, yes. So I think I've got two keynotes. One is that your perspective shifts when you start this scene. You're now playing, you start by playing as Shannon, and she's on the phone with someone. You have no idea who she's talking to or who's on the other end of the line. And not knowing that, you still have to pick what Shannon says back.
Yes, yeah.
So it's right off the bat, it's forcing you to do your own meaning making and defining who Shannon is and how she would react in this very frustrating situation, even though you have no idea what it's about, which I just love that. So it's our first perspective shift, and it's a key example of like doing that meaning making. You have to do it, player.
Yes. And I love that because I think I was impressed with myself, I guess. I don't know. I was impressed at how quickly I was able to, this strategy allowed me to create Shannon in my head. And I instantly loved Shannon.
How would you describe Shannon?
In my head, Shannon is quite pragmatic, quite patient and caring, but not overtly like so. Really keeps to herself, really is holds sort of maybe a guard up, but is willing to like put herself on the line for other people when that time comes. So
I love that.
I don't know. Yeah. What about you?
I think my Shannon she's a little bit closed off. She's
Hmm.
kind of reticent to share things about herself or to admit that she's feeling emotional about something or like angry or
Mm,
sad or something. She's really just trying to get to the next thing and trying to survive.
uh, yeah. Oh, I love that too. And the thing is, what I love about this is because of the way that they have structured the dialogue and the narrative, like both Shannons are real.
Yeah.
Both Shannons are true.
Yeah.
Um, in the mines, you have this opportunity, if you choose to explore fully, to go down different shafts and learn a bit more about the history beyond the fact that it was flooded and this tragedy happened there. And we learn a little bit about Shannon and Weaver um, and sort of their relationship to the mine. In addition to the fact that they're related, which we hear more about their families. What I thought was most interesting is this um I don't know if class is exactly the right word, but there is this sort of blue collar and academia divide that is within
Yeah.
this family
Yeah.
that is really fascinating to me to explore. Partially because this is something I see kind of like a little bit in my family, where you have some folks who are very much working class, like salt of the earth, like in the mines doing this physical labor. And then you
Mhm.
have like Weaver's family who are in college, they're doing studies, they're doing research, and they're very much like that white collar kind of vibe, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're actually researching the miners and their music like ethnographically, which
Yeah.
is interesting. Like there's a lot to break down there, especially when it's your family that you are researching essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you can see how those changes manifest, those differences
Mhm.
manifest in Shannon and Weaver, their kids.
Right.
I think we can both agree that Shannon is a very pragmatic person. She's a
Hmm.
television repairwoman. She knows how to work with her hands, and her
Yep.
parents were miners. And Weaver is a brilliant mathematician, and they're both like geniuses in their own right. And one's more
Right.
grounded in reality, and one's a little bit more maybe a ghost.
Right. Who's to say?
And the other thing is that like the white collar academics are no better off at the end of the day.
Right.
In the moment, like while they're working day to day, it does seem like the white collar, like Weaver's white collar family, like they're gonna buy a
Hmm.
house, the Marquez farm, but the house was foreclosed on, right? It didn't work
Right.
out. So even that white collar dream has kind of fallen apart.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point where it's like there is this like pseudo divide, but it's like when right now when we talk about like us versus a billionaire, even the richest like middle class person and even the upper class folks do not compare to a billionaire. Like there is this exponential sort of divide. And so it's like when you're looking between a white collar worker and a blue collar worker compared to this might of the power company
Mhm.
that is there.
Yeah.
So the power company, you're all the same
Yeah.
at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Absolutely. You're just ticks on a chalkboard for them.
Hmm. Um, yeah. Anything else about the mines? I'm trying to think. Highlights.
Oh, I do have one more thing. So when you go in on the mine, you sort of go in on like an electronic like cart, basically, like an old mine cart, and you hit a turntable, and then you can turn around and you sort of use these guideposts, which are just like a rowboat or a skull.
Right.
Right? It's not north, south, east, west. It's weird stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right? And that's how you get directions. And I think this is, I believe, the first instance of using circular movement as sort of a way of locomotion. And
Yes.
circular movement keeps coming up again and again and again in this game.
Hmm. Which I love. Because, okay, one of my favorite things in musicals is
Yes, yes.
when you have the turntable on the stage and like they do this in Les Mis where Jean Valjean is like walking through, towns and walking through fields and showing the journey of him, like after he leaves prison. The turntable turns to help him like show that progression of movement. They do it in Hamilton in some moments where it's like it shows like different passages of time, moments frozen in time to do like this like rotation thing. And so to see it in a video game structured in this way, the musical theater kid in me is just like, I love this so much.
And I think here it's about how easy it is to get lost, because I mean, I don't know about
Yep.
you, but I got lost in the mine. Most times I play, I got lost in the mine because it's very confusing to remember. Now, rowboat, what is a what do you mean a cask? Is that a casket? Does that count as a cask?
Right. Right. You know what's funny? I didn't even think about it, but now that you mention it, it's kind of weird that like I can think of landmarks and be like, yeah, I'll use these landmarks to navigate. But for in road names, I'm like, oh, give me a road name and that feels familiar in my brain so I can navigate. But when you're like like even in the zone where it's like turn clockwise at the bat wings and then rotate to the left when you're at the scarecrow, that for some reason became conceptually harder for me to remember for some reason.
Yeah, it's just not the way our brains are used to working, I don't think.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great detail I didn't even recognize. um as we leave the mine, again, Conway is injured. We return back to the Marquez farm. If you want to explore, you have the opportunity. But really, you just return back to the farm to try and finally fix the TV and get this answer from Weaver. Where is Five Dogwood Drive? Weaver is still not at the house, but instead, we end up finding the entrance to the Zero. The barn is replaced by this cavern that both Shannon and Conway can now enter. And they do.
Yeah,
And
and
that
that's
is
Act
the
One.
end of yeah, that's the end of Act One. Easy peasy. What are your final thoughts as we wind down Act One and the setup of this 5-act arc?
In the spirit of being obsessed with a Catabasis story,
Yes.
I do want to point out that in the Dante's Inferno trope, Shannon is kind of the Dante character, and Weaver is kind of her Beatrice.
Yes.
That framework for me kind of answers this sort of long haunting question over Kentucky Route Zero of, is Weaver a ghost? Like, Weaver is neither a ghost nor a person. She's just sort of a concept. She's just sort of a thing to be pursued that will like pop in every once in a while and say like, I'm here still anyway.
Right. Yeah. This sort of just like catalyst, like this catalyst for the action, not necessarily like a physical tangible thing that you're actually going to like hug one day.
And then I guess the other note that I have here is that when we didn't talk about we did talk briefly about going to Shannon's office, and she's repairing a TV and it shocks her for a moment, I think. As I remember. And then there's like a poem comes up, or there's like words that come up on the screen, and they say, can I read it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Go underground, as deep as you can go. The air is cool and the earth is damp. And when you close your eyes, you are surrounded by the dead. Remember where that is? You'll find your way from there. I think this place is what you're looking for. Some of it will wash away soon. But I think you'll be happy here, even without the mail, school, and these magnificent, tragic horses. And it repeats from there.
Oh my God.
And that's just describing the Echo River that we'll talk about in Act 4, and also the town will arrive in Act 5. So they knew what they were doing.
Yes. Okay. Oh my gosh. I love it because I remember that poem. I did not, again, because especially first time playing, I'm still just like give me all this like detail that I have forgotten because it was only my first playthrough. Like, nom, nom, nom. I'm just eating all of it and trying to digest it. And so seeing these connections and looking back at Act 1, knowing where we end up in Act 5, oh,
It's so
love
cool,
it.
dude.
I love it so much. Oh my God. Yeah. And I guess anything else you wanted to add to that
I think
thought?
that I'm going to save it. I'm going to save the rest of it.
Okay, perfect. um, and so yeah, Act 1, powerful stuff. I feel like it is a really compelling beginning. I think you have this full what I love about episodic, well, when done correctly, I think episodic games can be super powerful. And I think Act 1 is a great example of how having that like rising action conclusion, but mystery to keep you interested in the continuing following episodes, Act 1 does it so wonderfully. I think it's a great example of an episodic game. So kudos, because usually I get really tentative and hesitant in trying episodic games because it can be hard to
Yeah.
really structure it in a way that you want to stay engaged throughout the rest.
Yeah.
What I love is that we have an interlude after this, before going into Act 2. It's called Limits and Demonstrations. And the summary of it is it's an art exhibit showing the 5 works of one Lula Chamberlain. They were nearly impossible to install and span a period of about 35 years. And most notably, we learn about Lula's work with Joseph and Donald, 2 men.
Joseph, you
Uh,
say?
Yeah, what? We might have heard that name before. And we hear about their work in the caves using computers to try to research something. And we ultimately learn that Lula drives through the caves to find the Zero. I will just jump ahead. And this exhibit is explored through the perspective of Emily, Ben, and Bob. I forgot to put that down. I just want to lead with, I went into this and I was so confused.
That's fair. That's so fair.
I was so lost. For a little bit, I was like, because we hadn't heard of Lula before. So this is definitely an interlude that is foreshadowing a lot. Me not realizing that, I was like, is Lula Chamberlain a real artist?
I
I'm
also
here.
thought that.
Right. And so there was a lot of confusion for maybe the first half of me looking through this stuff. And then my brain, I caught up and I was able to like understand this was foreshadowing stuff that I should know for later. And I was able to calm down about it. But what was your experience in this exhibit?
I loved it. Mostly because I just love going. This is like the exact sort of exhibit that I would love to go to in real life. Like I love a good like electronics video art exhibit.
Yeah.
That's extremely my kind of exhibit to go to. So that was really fun. Also, it's worth noting that some of these exhibits here were like real, actual video art exhibits. I know, I
Yes.
believe at least 2 of them were. One of them is specifically referencing Nam June Pak, who was the founder of video art. And that's perhaps like the most interactive exhibit that you have. Yeah. Oh, and then the other sort of factoid I have to add on here is that this was kind of a tech demo for them, this interlude, because you'll remember in Act 2, like the movement is really similar at the Museum of Dwellings. So they were trying to
Yes.
work out how do we do that.
Oh, that's great. I love
Yeah,
that.
isn't that cool?
That is really cool. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I remember reading Namjoon's name and thinking, like, wait a second. Like, I think I've heard of this person, which is also why I got confused because it's like, if this person's real, is Lula real?
Is everything real?
So, yeah, is everything real? Are we in Kentucky Route Zero?
And
We'll
I
save
didn't know
that for
none
later.
of these names, so I was like, oh, maybe they're all real, maybe they're not. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, super like I really enjoyed it once I sort of like figured out what was going on. And this is one of the sections where now I'm excited to go back to it because I have the understanding. And I think it'll be more enjoyable now when I play through this second time. I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm excited.
I'm so curious to hear what you get from it the second time.
Yeah, because it's funny, like when I go, like I don't know if you've had this experience before, but sometimes I'll go to a museum, a real museum exhibit. Wow,
you got there. We did it.
We did it. We made it. And sometimes because especially we have like free passes from the library every once in a while, so we can just go, and I'll just go for the heck of it because it's free. And sometimes I won't know what the exhibit is about ahead of time. I'm just trying to go and like learn something. And it felt very much like emulating that experience where I'm like, I don't know what this exhibit about, but it was free. And so I decided to show up and like try and learn something. And so it was really cool because it very much felt like the virtual version of a very real life experience I've had.
That is so perfect. That's so well put. It is exactly like that. Especially like, I don't know, do you ever do that like on vacation? You're already in a city that's like not really familiar to you. You don't know the building at all.
And everyone's like, you got to go to this art museum because it's got like the famous stuff in it. And you're like, I have no idea, but I guess I gotta.
Well, let's see.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh my gosh. So that brings us to Act 2. Trying to keep an eye on time here. So we start with yet another new perspective in Act 2. We start with Lula Chamberlain, which, lo and behold, we know her from the interlude. She has received a rejection letter from the Gaston Trust for Imagined Architecture. Currently, she is working in the bureau and doesn't seem to be really enjoying her job. She's being asked from a coworker about this office party, doesn't really show interest. And we then transition to Conway and Shannon, who are stopping at this Bureau of Reclaimed Spaces. So now we have these three characters that we've loosely followed in various ways, starting to show up in the same place. I wanted to pause and say again, I was so excited when we saw Lula simply because I was like, oh my God, my brain can make a connection. I am not lost. I found my landmark here.
Well, if you're lost, then you're playing Kentucky Route Zero, right?
That's true.
It's a game about being lost.
That is very true. So as Conway and Shannon are at the bureau, they get pulled into this whirlpool of bureaucracy and paperwork and red tape, and it's very funny. And finally get to meet with Lula, who talks about the sort of, I forget what the phrase they used about the computer sort of like replicant names.
They're basically name collisions.
Name collisions, yes, because they have been systematizing the street names. There are duplicate names that are name collisions, and so there are many streets named Dogwood Drive and variants of that. She mentions that Weaver was a previous intern of hers, which Shannon, perks up a little at that, and then sends Conway and Shannon to the St. Thomas Church to try and come up with the records to determine which Dogwood Drive that they're looking for. I'll pause there because there is so much to talk about with the Bureau and this first experience there. Yeah,
it really is. What did you think about the crabs, the little hermit crabs?
So I loved the hermit crabs. Again, my first reaction was like, oh my gosh, this is just kind of like one of those. It's just like a quirky, again, surreal moment that you can kind of just embrace because this bureau also has a floor of bears. So why don't they just have hermit crabs just on the main lobby floor? But I thought a lot about how hermit crabs are constantly outgrowing their shells and they're constantly like searching for a new home and a new place because that's just the function, like that's how their bodies work. And so again, this was a bit of a foreshadowing moment for me in thinking about this idea of home and constantly moving and knowing that you're kind of always going to be transitioning to your next thing.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah. I mean, also, they're just adorable. I just love that they have found like little office supplies to live in.
I know.
And it's really sad when you put it in that context, though.
It is, yeah. Well, I
There's
think of oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that there's also these TVs sort of in the crevices around this very interestingly designed space, which is actually based off of a real church. There is a real church that looks like this crazy brick building.
Where we need to go visit this.
You want to go to Scotland? Let's do it. I think it's in Scotland.
Oh my God. Yes, let's make it happen.
But I'll send you a link to this one too. I have to remember all the links I have to send you. But so it is it's a modernist brutalist church design, and it has a lot of like holes in the wall, and so it has this sort of sense of being inside and outside at the same time. It was kind of designed around that philosophy, like how do we invite nature into the space that has this very like concretey brick human constructed vibe to it. And so in these little television screens that are like fit here in the Bureau of reclaimed spaces like a hermit crab reclaims some office supplies, there are scenes of animals that are like making nests or finding homes in like human built environments. And so I just also love that detail, and I wanted to call that out.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Again, it's like I can't wait to like play this again and see all of these details in this fresh light. One of the things that I thought was interesting, going a bit back to the hermit crabs, is I agree. It's like a little whimsical, but also sad when you see the hermit crabs have like taken office supplies to be their home, because that's also not what they should be using. Technically, they should be using shells.
Yeah.
And as we learn about this Bureau of Reclaimed Spaces, I had mixed feelings, because initially I'm thinking, oh my gosh, reclaiming spaces is great. I think like even in real life, like this concept of placemaking and reclaiming a space and reutilizing it with renewed purpose is such a great concept.
Yeah.
But there's also this other side of it where it felt like the Bureau, there's a bureaucracy to the Bureau, and then it's like, who is doing the quote reclaiming
Exactly.
of the space?
Yes.
What does that mean? And so there's this like push and pull between like a thing that sounds like it could be really good, but the way the system is structured, I don't know if the people who really could reclaim the space and really truly utilize it within a community sense are getting that opportunity. And I think this might be going to other people who are not using it for the community.
The Bureau of Reclaimed Spaces itself is a church. Like it was a church and it's been reclaimed. You can see the organ and like see an organ performance up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really well said.
I'm just like processing right now. I'm just processing and thinking. Because there is this like, this game is interestingly religious. And I might be jumping ahead. No, I have a bullet point here. This is the right time. This game is sort of religious in a way that isn't like you should be religious, but it is like there's this sort of like undercurrent of like faith and religion being usurped by I don't know the word, but it's like it's being covered over by like the Bureau, for example, by this bureaucracy, by the powers of these like incoming new systems.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any. That's kind of where I'm just like still chewing on it.
No, I can we go to St. Thomas?
Yeah, let's go to St. Thomas.
I want to talk about it more at St. Thomas if we can.
Yes. Yeah. So Conway and Shannon, again, they're sent to the St. Thomas Church to try and find this record about Dogwood Drive. And they meet a janitor there who, oh man, this is such a beautiful scene as well, where we learn, and sad, we learn that the church has been moved to like a storage facility, kind of like one of those like U-Haul spaces where there's just like rooms and rooms and rooms of storage units.
Yeah.
And it's empty. But you still see this janitor who says every day he does the same music and rituals that the previous congregation who used to attend church there, he maintains that just in case. Oh
he
my
talks
God.
about his name is Brandon.
Yes.
Brandon talks about how he was just the church janitor, and at first people did show up when they moved to the storage facility, but
Mhm.
fewer and fewer people showed up, and eventually the pastor stopped showing up, and he said, "Hey, can you just play this tape for whoever does come?"
Mhm.
And nobody ever comes, and he just plays this tape for no one every Sunday. I assume it's Sunday. Maybe it's every day.
Right.
I was actually raised Jewish, so I don't know how any of this works.
Right.
um, but I think, and I when this scene really reminds me of the church scene in Act One. This sort of tape
Yes.
playing for no one, and so it's kind of happening everywhere in this region. This sort of hollowing out of the church, and what's left is this tape.
Mhm.
Which is a form of automation. And I completely forgot about the importance of automation in Kentucky Route Zero when we were going over the themes last time, but it is Catburger's #1 favorite theme in Kentucky Route Zero. Automation is a really big deal. And we're seeing
Mhm.
it, starting to see it here in Act Two with this bureaucracy, because, like, bureaucracy is just how do you automate humans, basically.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And again, like, how do you automate religion? And apparently it's just a tape playing to an empty space.
It's funny because I am not a religious person, although I was uh when I was growing up, we went to, and folks who've listened have heard this before from other games that we've talked about that have religion, but we went to church mostly for the social aspect. We went to just like a Christian Korean church because my mom's Korean, and also we wanted the cultural like
Yeah,
connection there.
totally.
And we would go on Sundays, and I loved the snacks and that we got to do like movie nights, and that was really the extent of my religious practice. So I guess, shame on me, absorb nothing there. I guess. But
I please go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, well, I was just gonna say, there's still like, despite the institutional harm that like we know that churches can do to folks and have done,
Yeah.
I think there is something really beautiful about the idea of faith and people congregating with this goal of like something greater than them. And there's something really, I think, beautiful at its core about that idea to me. And like, it's just scenes of this like janitor playing a tape to nobody just made me feel so sad and melancholy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even as a non-religious person, I was like, man, this is such a shame.
I think I went through a toxic atheist phase for sure. I'll admit that. And I think as I grow more and more, even coming from like a Jewish tradition, and I have a complicated relationship with my own faith
Mhm.
as I think most Jews do. To be honest with you, um, and I think it's something that's really in the forefront of my mind after playing Perfect Tides. But um, I think that more and more, and especially like seeing society like break down in front of me, like we're kind of watching
Right.
right now happen, I kind of am starting to feel like religion, whether it's Judaism or Christianity or whatever it is like provides an opportunity to build a skill, and that skill is, how do you learn how to hope, how do you learn how to have
Mhm.
faith that things could be different than they are now, even when it seems impossible. And I think the hollowing out of the church and sort of this sort of sadly looking on at these broken down religious ties that we see in Kentucky Route Zero, I think it's, for me, it really represents like the lack of ability to hope for something better that so many people are experiencing in this game.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's such a beautiful way to put it. And I am going to put that in my like mental notebook and probably steal it from you later.
Steal it,
Because
steal it, steal it.
that's so good. And I think it made me think about how a lot of our social, like back in the day, social ties were connected to religion, to the church. And I think there's this idea of the community that this game addresses, especially as we go through the zero and we basically attract this like group of misfits and strays, essentially, just that we come together and create this community. And it's something that people now are doing more and more, without the assistance of something like religion to bring them together. But again, it's like you see these empty churches, you see also all of these people who are just sort of floating
Yeah.
in these solitary ways. And I think that's
Yeah.
definitely tied together.
If you
Yeah.
have no connections, if you're floating in a solitary way, are you a ghost?
That is the question, isn't it? I feel like that is one of the questions at hand here.
Yeah. And then also in the spirit of asking questions that you probably don't have answers to.
Yeah.
I think something like that whole diatribe is like the first time I've been able to verbalize something that I've kind of been thinking about. So thank you for that opportunity.
Yeah.
But it leaves me with this question of how do you think we build that skill of hoping and having faith in a better future in the face of so many reasons to not have faith in a shared communal way, and also in a way that doesn't like activate a lot of people's religious trauma, which a lot of people reasonably have.
Right. I mean, okay, this is not meant to be like Geeks and Grounds is the answer, but I think like as a case study, I do think places of, if you are like me, if you're not religious, what other things do you have that help connect you to people? For me personally, I love games.
Yeah.
And so I chose not to make games my religion per se, but like to make it a point of connection and a point in which I can talk about hope, because actually looking back at the games I usually curate for Geeks and Grounds and what the community has done an excellent job voting in is so many of the games that we talk about address hope in one form or another. And it becomes this opportunity for us to share in these discussions and share our experiences and talk about it in a non-religious way, but we're still like building those connections. And I think anyone doing this, and I think the persistence of a habit like this, like we have these discussions every month. We have the forum that you can access daily. It's like, again,
It's like
not a
church.
religion, but it is kind of like church, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it has taken sort of a role like that.
I love that. I mean, you said that games aren't your religion, but quite frankly, they might be mine.
Right.
I think
we might be onto something here.
Anyway, this might be this might be a bonus pod after dark thing. We have so much more to get through, but like this is
Oh my gosh,
I think we found really the nut of it, for at least for today for me. But please, let's keep going.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, this is great. So yeah, religion and Kentucky Route Zero. There we go. We'll put that check. We did it. No other questions, please. So they have this like incredible, again, you can explore a bit more, but eventually you make your way back to the bureau. After coming back, Lula is nowhere to be found, but you are able to get the address to a Dr. Truman, who is also going to be helping Conway with his leg, which is increasingly, I felt like in my head, narratively, I was like, oh, it's increasingly causing more pain, as we go on this journey. So we finally get him the address to Dr. Truman and can get him some help. As we try to find Dr. Truman's house, we find that this neighborhood, not just his house, the entire neighborhood where his house was, has been replaced by the Museum of Dwellings. This really unique museum that has exhibits of different types of dwellings and abodes that people and creatures live in. You can take some time to explore that with Shannon and Conway, and as they explore and I think get to the roof or outside of the museum, they meet Ezra, a young boy who works at the museum and supports residents by flying them in and out daily, because there are people who still live in these abodes that are in the museum, with his brother, the eagle, Julian, because why not? It makes sense.
Yeah, why not? Sure.
Yep. I don't question anything. I'm just going to accept this.
I think it's a metaphor for him being like a child of the state now. Like, he doesn't have parents, so like he's a ward of the state at this point.
Yeah. So they bring our party to Dr. Truman, who is in the woods with the rest of the residents who kind of leave their homes to to sleep in a different location every night. And I think, actually, I'll finish this out. I'm already starting to think about the things I'd like to chat about. But Ezra and Shannon watch a show while Dr. Truman fixes Conway's leg with an experimental drug. We also learn about Dr. Truman's journey into getting his medical degree and the debt that he now has towards the place that he currently works, which is why he has access to this drug. So, Museum of Dwellings. Let's start there.
Okay.
Yes.
What are your thoughts? First thoughts.
Okay. There is another. Okay. Museums are contentious places. If you didn't know, now you know, because the museums have a history of putting in exhibits things that they don't have the right to display. Just cultural artifacts and things that have been claimed from people and cultures that they necessarily did not have, don't have the right to keep. There's a game called Relooted that's actually out now that's all about reclaiming things that museums and these sort of exhibits have had on display. I don't know. I just felt so frustrated looking at this museum about dwellings as it unhoused a whole neighborhood of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The dark irony there. I mean, filled me with frustration and rage.
It didn't unhouse them though. They all still live here now in the museum. Is that better?
Oh my gosh. It's like, okay, so now you're basically sort of a zoo creature, I guess. Is this what it is? Is this how we're living now? It's just
so dehumanizing.
It is. It is so dehumanizing. And, it's like, okay, your home is technically there. Technically, you can still live here, but who would want to do that? I would not want to do that.
I know. I mean, and there's a big rainstorm going on right now.
Yes.
And people are dealing with a flood. And this entire scene is from the perspective of the museum security staff, who is, after this scene that we are currently watching unfold, interviewing the residents to say, like, hey, who were those weirdos that showed up, that guy and that lady and their dog? Who was that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so alienating and it's so dehumanizing, and it's really reminiscent of the voyeuristic way that the war on poverty specifically viewed Appalachia.
Yeah.
And just the way that, like, oh, this is the view, and it's always white. It's always this view of poverty. Like, look at these poor white people who live in Appalachia and they don't have anything. And let's all gawk at them and then not actually do anything to help them and put their houses in a museum. And do these, like,
and it's like,
please go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say I'm starting to make a connection to something that we see in Act 4. But this, like, preservation, like this, we're saving them and we're preserving them, and like, putting them in the museum is like respecting what they, we're honoring and respecting because we want to learn about this and we want to, like, witness it in this sort of fashion.
And this guy's like, hey, can you fix the giant leak in my house, please?
Right. And it's like, actually, there are problems that need to be solved, but it was like, no, we need to, like, we're preserving and witnessing, right?
Yeah. Ugh. Now, there is one contradiction here that I want to ask you about. I don't know if you saw this, but one of the dwellings in the museum that's uninhabited, it's a reference to something called the Dymaxion House, which it's like this super futuristic Buckminster Fuller like concept for this will be the home of the future. And that's included here.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that. Or if I did, I don't remember it.
What do you make of including something like that in here? This sort of, like, view of the future, Disney Tomorrowland type of thing alongside the rest of these dwellings.
I think at just like a gut reaction is sort of, again, like that you don't see these people or these dwellings as real anymore. You see them as artifacts of either the past or the future, but not the present.
Ah,
Like,
that's really well put. I like that. Yeah.
but yeah, I guess because I don't think I saw that. Could you describe, like, maybe also describe what you feel like in its
Yeah,
inclusion?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry to put you on the spot there. I appreciate you being
No,
so
no,
game.
that's
Yeah, it's on the roof. And they're these like they almost look like grain silos, and they're just cut off the top of them.
yeah. Oh
And
my
then you're like,
gosh,
you can live in this.
the future.
And the idea is that like it's really efficient to heat or something, and it's made out of like really efficient materials. But it honestly, it seems like a really horrible place to live.
That's so funny.
And the reason I asked you about it is I was like, well, this is a pretty optimistic, hopeful like thing to make, and thing to
Right.
include, even if it's not practical. Like it's an idea for the future at least. And so I
Right.
saw a little bit of that desire to hope kind of mixed in with all this, and so it was confusing for me. I didn't know what to make
Right.
of it.
But I think that's a really good point where it's like, I think someone could be working or designing a museum like this, and in their realm of experience and perspective, and maybe a little bit of obliviousness, like, like design something that is hopeful within a space. Like, I think it's a yes and kind of a moment.
Yeah,
Well, both could be
yeah,
true, where it's like you can
totally.
simultaneously sort of be dehumanizing the folks who are actually still alive and
Mm.
still living in these houses, um, while trying to do something for like noble causes, I
Yeah.
guess, and like hope for the future. And I don't know. I feel like um, this is sort of an imperfect example, but like I think nonprofits often kind of
Mm.
hit this kind of a line where it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you both can do good work, but also perpetuate things that are not great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, that was just like a weird detail that I just wanted to discuss with you.
No, that's a great detail. This is why I'm like, this is why the expert is here. You are here to like make sure these details don't go unnoticed. I love it.
And I come to you and I'm
Um,
like, what does it mean?
yes, we'll put our brains together. We'll figure this out.
Beautiful.
Um, what I also wanted to talk about is by the end of Act Two, because we are nearing the end of Act Two, we are seeing the recurring topic of debt. I think moving into the Act Two interlude and then Act Three, this becomes even more prevalent. But we already have met Dr. Truman at the end, who really explicitly calls out what he owes to this medicine pharmaceutical company. Conway talks about what he owes in terms of like apologies. Houses have been foreclosed. So we have a lot of this idea of like debt. Um, how at this point, like, are you interpreting it for the characters and their like motivations as they're journeying and moving through this world?
Well, I guess I'll point out that it's not actually the pharmaceutical company that owns Dr.
Mm,
Truman's debt.
that's a
It
good point.
is
Yeah.
it's the power company, and their name is
Yep.
Consolidated Power for a reason.
Like, yeah, could not get more obvious,
It's right
honestly.
there, baby.
Yep.
I think that debt is a way in which these characters lose their agency,
Hmm.
and I think it's an experience that we get to embody in the game. When
Yeah.
we don't get to influence the events, we can only choose how we feel about them. And so the game
Mm,
is really putting us in the shoes of these characters who are experiencing the helplessness that debt puts you in.
yeah. I'm curious because one thing that I IRL struggle with, but also in this game, like what frustrates me, I guess, and I'm, you don't have to have an answer for this, but I
Okay.
guess what interests me about debt is the physical ramifications it has,
Mm,
even though it's such an abstract concept. Like,
yeah.
debt doesn't really exist. Debt is like, is debt a ghost? I don't know. Like, it's not of this world. It's not like you can hold your debt, whether monetary or emotional or what have you. But like, I don't know. I just struggle a lot with the fact that debt has such heavy implications and on the decisions that these characters make. And I guess there's not a question here. I'm just venting.
Can I swear?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
You know what the fucked up thing about debt is?
Yeah.
It's shit. I lost what I was going to say. God damn it, Catherine.
Yeah, that is fucked up.
Debt is so fucked up. It's here, I got it. Okay, the fucked up thing about debt is that it's this thing like giving to somebody else. And now you give to somebody and now you owe them something and you're still supposed to be thankful. Do you know what I mean? That's so fucked up that you're supposed to be thankful to the person you're in debt to. That's so screwed up, man.
It is. Right. Well, and the thing is, okay, because it's like, if I gave a friend, like, I don't know, a ride to the airport, I would not consider them in debt to me or indebted to me. If I gave a friend money for something, I would not consider them like indebted to me because I do it because I care for them. I want is what's best for them. And I think this idea of debt frustrates me so much is because it's like, it's so separate from like why you help people in the first place. Like going back to the idea you mentioned of like, if you're giving something, you should just give it.
Yeah. Just give it or don't, dude.
Yeah. And this is where, again, the frustrations at this, like the systems that these folks are in, which is great because I'm like, oh, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
We live in these systems. Damn it.
We have so much more debt to talk about in the entertainment. I think this is a perfect transition to the entertainment.
Yes. Because as the Act 2 interlude begins, we are in first-person perspective, a very big change for us. We play sort of this unknown character currently, and what the Act 2 interlude is the entertainment, and it is originally 2 plays, but in the version I played, it was just kind of like one long play, essentially, 2 scenes in one long play, and it details the interactions between a bartender and his patrons in a bar called the Lower Depths over the course of a day. I found it easiest just to sort of list out the characters and sort of their struggle. So I'll just read them really quickly. There's Evelyn, who is discussing her husband Ted, wondering about his faithfulness while traveling. She also is kind of a troll to Harry about his, quote, vacation, which we'll talk about. Harry, who's the bartender, shares that he's been on vacation in New Orleans, and he spends his time comforting and talking with the various patrons. Later, he reveals he sold the bar's debt, which is the patrons' tabs, to the Hard Times Distillery. Make a note of that place. Pearl, who is a patron of the bar, arrives searching for her parents, admitting that she wants to find them to tell them that she's not going to be covering their tab anymore and is heading west. Her parents, Rosa and Lawrence, are at a table celebrating Rosa's, quote, promotion at the supermarket, but you learn later that this promotion was actually more of a promise to maybe consider a promotion perhaps someday. After learning about their daughter's decision to go west. And the
Cruel
play
optimism.
Oh my God. I actually went and bought Cruel Optimism after you mentioned it as a side note, because you've convinced me to read it.
It's right there, baby.
Yeah, it's so good. And then the play concludes with a skeleton, which later I connected from the Hard Times Distillery arriving, presumably to collect on these debts.
Yes.
All right. Thoughts?
Well, I'll say that this is a one-to-one metaphor with the 2008 housing crisis. So we have our patrons, who are our homeowners. They're buying drinks they can't afford or houses they can't afford because the bar, Ted, or the banks, is willing to give them a loan on it in the form of their bar tabs. And that's putting Ted, the banks, underwater. So then he bundles up all their tabs or their subprime mortgages and sells that to Lehman Brothers. I mean, the distillery. And then the distillery, I mean Lehman Brothers, forecloses on all these patron houses. I mean tabs. It's all there, baby. It's
really is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I will say, I think this was my favorite interlude, hands down. I loved this. If I was still a teacher, I would 100% be bringing this into the classroom. Like,
That's so cool. I would love
100%. I'm going to
be
try to
so
like reach out to my teacher friends and be like, just get this to your kids. It's incredible.
And it's such a great like Southern Gothic play too.
Yeah, I would love to see this live. Like, I would love to see it performed. And it was briefly performed, I believe. Oh gosh, I had it in my notes and now I can't find the tab because I have too many tabs open, but it was performed.
I saw that they were selling the script and I was like, "Oh, can I buy that?" And I was too late, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'd love to have that.
I would love a playbill. Oh my gosh.
Right? Like if this ever tours, you know,
Yeah.
we got to go.
Yeah, we'll be there.
For me, I think this was the moment in the game where I was really pleased because, again, I think last episode I talked about a lot of games have similar themes, but I feel like they don't necessarily go all the way like down the rabbit hole in terms of how dark this actually is in reality.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is maybe the first game I have played that has truly embraced that like stomach dropping feeling of like, oh shit, I think we're all really like we're all screwed right now.
Yeah.
And this interlude specifically, I felt that by the end when Harry is like trying to get everyone to pay attention and just like realize what's going on, and he yells, I wrote this quote down because I was just so he yells, "All they want is debt. They feed on it. They put it in the whiskey." And I'm just sitting there like, again, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it because
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
they go there.
They really do.
go there.
It's really good. And I think it's so much better in context of the distillery, which I cannot wait to talk about the distillery.
Oh my God, me too. So let's keep on trucking through to Act 3. This one, again, we always start in sort of an unexpected place, and Act 3 begins with a dream of Conway at breakfast with Lisette, who is the owner of the antiques delivery shop that he works for. And it's ahead of him leaving for his delivery. We can see that his leg has been replaced by a skeleton leg, which I think only he can see. It's asterisks, maybe a few other characters
Clear.
can kind of notice. And we also learn that Conway, after he wakes up from this dream with Lisette, he learns that due to this medication he's been given, Nurofen, I guess. I don't even know if I spelled that correctly. Yeah, Nurofen. He will never be fully recovered. So he is disabled now. He's unable to sort of work at full capacity, which, as we know in capitalism, if you can't work at full capacity,
You have no value.
you're not worth it. You're not worth anything. So
Yeah.
I think this was a moment that struck me because I'm like, we have in our group right now a man who is disabled, older man who is disabled. We have Shannon, who is, she's not an immigrant, but she is a child of, I think, maybe immigrants, and she's a woman of color. And we have an orphaned child who cannot work because he is a child. So we are collecting these misfits that, according to capitalism, do not count in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Throughout this act, I'll just keep summarizing and then we can pause.
Sounds good.
Throughout this act, we learn about Shannon's past drug use with Weaver's ADHD medication or ADD meds. We witness Emily, Bob, and Ben outside the Museum of Dwellings as we return back. They still don't appear to notice us, Conway specifically, like in Act 1. Ezra sees Flora at the Museum of Dwellings, and they have a beautiful moment watching her paper boat float away, if you choose to engage with that.
Mhm.
And eventually you head back to Ekis Oils for directions to the Zero, but the truck stalls out. And you meet two new characters that get added to your party,
Yeah.
Junebug and Johnny, who stop by to help and conveniently decide to add you in to their audience for their upcoming performance. So I'll pause there since that's about the first half, I think, of Act 3.
Okay. What do you want to talk about first?
Oh my gosh. I mean, we have to talk about the skeleton leg.
Yes. So, in my opinion, I think it looks like it's supposed to be bones, but it's actually like rods and servos. Like it looks electronic to me. It's hard to say with this art style, but that's my
Oh,
opinion.
yeah, yeah. I could see that. I think, especially considering later, I was late to this, but I realized Johnny is like maybe a robot android,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah,
like
Junebug is an android for sure.
or
I think
Junebug is
Junebug
okay.
and Johnny, I think both might be androids. They have gray
Mm.
skin.
Yeah, I figured like I'm like they're not. Yeah.
Also, you
So
can hear their servos when they walk, which I think is a nice detail. They go
yes,
er.
for the longest time I thought that was the truck, and I was like, what is wrong with our truck that it makes this periodic noise that I cannot figure out the pattern for? It's
It's
because
the
it's when
people.
it's because the people are walking. Yeah. Um. Yeah, and I think just having this leg, the human leg in its entirety being replaced by this bone structure mechanical thing, what a great visual way to indicate like the idea of debt and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he is now physically, like you can see it on him physically, that changing him
Yeah. Yeah.
completely.
Yeah, I mean, he really wears his debt on his sleeve, or I guess his
Mhm.
leg.
Yeah. We also, I think we haven't talked a lot about like addiction, or sort of misuse of like drugs and alcohol, but listening to Shannon's story about how she utilized Weaver's ADD meds, and we know that from different moments, Conway has had struggles with alcohol prior to this. There have been little anecdotes as you explore that I think you just kind of discover. That's something that I peeked, like sort of you can kind of get a little peek behind the curtain here, and it
Yeah.
foreshadows stuff for later, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's also interesting, a lot of the discussion of Conway's like aches and pains in his joints, and Lizette mentions it too, I think. Um, one of the devs was having really bad carpal tunnel working on Act
Mm.
2 and Act 3, and so a lot of that like writing was coming from those
Oh my God.
experiences, as well as
Yeah.
a fair amount of medical debt.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no, I just think that's an interesting detail to add in.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's a lot, especially with the medical debt, because Shannon, with the reason why she even started taking Weaver's ADD meds was because her family did not have insurance. Weaver's family did. And like them just trying to navigate the system and find ways to get access to medicine. And like, I think
Yeah,
there's a
that's
line where she
right.
says the medicine, it came with like lore and secrets and rituals like magic. Um,
Yeah, I totally forgot about that line. Yeah, how it's,
yeah.
oh, I don't know, it's just, this is what the doctor told me, and it's all third or second hand, and you're like, I'm not quite
Hmm.
sure I'm doing it right. Is this gonna make me
Right.
feel better?
Oh my gosh. Okay. And actually, there's a line, you get this later in like Act 4, but Will on the boat, when you're going down the Echo River, says
Mhm.
something similar where he talks about how like stories aren't true unless they're like passed down from person to person and are like heard through the grapevine, essentially. And that's like how truth is made. And now I'm
Yeah.
like starting to connect that to like what she says about, okay.
That's so real. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
my mind is
Yeah.
blown.
Um, so to keep us moving along, I guess, Conway and Shannon, after going to the Museum of Dwellings, they head back to Ekis Oils. The truck stalls out. Yes, okay. So we then travel to Junebug and Johnny's performance, which is happening at a very familiar location.
Oh my God, it's Harry's bar.
It's Harry's bar. And I love this part because I love a good moment where you see all the threads intersecting and you're like, oh my God. It's like everyone is third degree of Conway and Shannon, essentially.
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon moment. And Junebug's performance is Act Two's like in-game musical moment. It is
Actually,
transcendent.
There is
Oh, is it?
another
That's
musical
true. You're right,
performance
you're
at the
right.
Hall of the Mountain King.
You're right. Oh my gosh. I will say Junebug's performance stole the show for me, though.
That's so real. That's so real. It's a very
Um,
direct reference to Twin Peaks too, with the red backdrop and everything.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Which this whole game, honestly, could be a reference. to
Yeah.
Twin
Yeah.
Peaks. But through Junebug's performance, the lore behind it is you learn that Junebug and Joseph had heard this song a long time ago, and I feel like can't remember if there were explicit choices or not, but I think I had constructed narratively that Lizette had sung this song ages ago in the bar,
I
singing
did
about
not
Conway.
I didn't put that together at all. That's so beautiful. Oh my gosh. I love that so much. Yes.
So in my head, this is like the next generation of that song, and it was actually Conway and Lizette's story that like initiated the song and the lyrics.
Wow. Wow. And you choose. So you are almost kind of playing as Lizette here, you could think of it as, and making those choices. In the same way that at the very beginning of this act, you sort of, as Conway, finish Lizette's sentences to sort of remind her of
Yes.
details of the reality. Wow. So,
Yes.
like, Lizette is like a ghost that is being filled in by our characters.
Yeah. Yep.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yes. And we also learn, I skimmed over this when talking about like the dream that Conway had with Lizette, but she talks about losing her son, Charlie. And this is, I think, the first time we hear about Charlie, although it will not be the last. And we learn that Charlie, her son, had fallen off a roof, and that is how he passed away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you start seeing the connections here between all of these characters in some form, because again, Ira and Liz, Conway worked for Liz. They knew each other. Junebug and Joseph are singing a song that connects to Lizette and Conway.
They
all of
worked
this,
in the
all of this
mine
is-
that Shannon's parents were killed in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who is also related to Weaver and Weaver's parents. And so it's just, you see these threads of connecting people, even if they themselves didn't overtly connect themselves together,
Yeah.
which is really cool.
Yeah. So it's impossible for them to be ghosts as long as they have these connections to each other.
Yeah, it's like you got something to pull you back a little bit.
Yeah. That's lovely.
Yeah. Heading back to the zone, which again, incredible. I love driving through the zone. It's so cool.
It's so great. It is the zero, right? Like that is
Or the
zero.
zero. Yeah. Yep. I don't know why I typed the zone in there.
It is a great place to zone out.
It is. Well, it is kind of hypnotic in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah. Half asleep moment.
The half asleep moment. We visit the Hall of the Mountain King, where in my head I am singing the song where it's like dun 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 dun. That was just like playing through my head the whole time. We meet Donald, who we have heard about before, and learn about Project Xanadu, which is a computer and a program that's been infused with the black mold of the cave and has kind of taken the life of its own as a result. Okay, confession time.
Yeah.
I will admit that this was maybe the slowest part of the entire game for me.
Oh, it's so slow, dude. It's so slow. That's valid.
Yeah, talking about half asleep moments, I really had to like focus to
It's
try
so much
and
reading.
Yeah,
I mean,
just like to really hone in. Yeah.
Donald's a pretty tiresome dude, is the problem. Unfortunately, this is the character that in the other episode I referenced William Crowther. Donald is very heavily based on William Crowther because he's spent his whole life dedicated to recreating this cave system that he is just in right now. Because the guy just wants to get high and get his polycule back together, and like, who could blame him? Honestly.
Right.
But it's never going to happen. That's over now. We're after the impasse. And he's just unable to move on. And so you have to play this like
Right.
weird management sim with grad students. It's so weird.
Yeah. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, it's just such a bizarre
Yeah.
scenario and situation. And yeah, I will admit, I definitely like struggled this part.
But I mean, long story for short, but if you go into the computer and play the simulation and find Lula in the simulation, then she will manifest in the cave, which is crazy.
She does. Yeah. Because, yeah, why not? Why, it's like technology has different sorts of power. It's like the Beetlejuice of this world. You just have to look into a computer and say Lula's name a few times.
I mean, kind of, yeah. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I also, it's interesting because like, it doesn't necessarily confirm it, I don't think. But you get the sense that there is kind of this like love triangle going on. Like,
yes. Yeah.
they, like Donald and Joseph are like looking at each other jealously when either of them are talking to Lula. And so there's some drama there that I'm like, oh, it could be really good, but I just could not focus. So.
It's so complicated, man. I mean, I think we also we kind of get Lula's perspective on this.
Right.
Love triangle back in Limits and Demonstrations in the
Yes.
Nam June Pak based exhibit. You can kind of hear before they go into the cave some of their interactions. Lula's kind of recording them, and that's like an exhibit where you can kind of choose your own adventure through that, which is pretty cool. But yeah, no, we can move on.
Yep.
We don't have to spend
Okay.
any more time. Oh, actually, I do have one more Xanadu fact.
Oh, yes.
In the spirit of tiresome projects, Xanadu is also the name of a 30-year-long hyperlink project that I cannot remember the name. It might have been someone named Donald was working on.
Oh my God.
Like back in the 80s or something, someone was like, this is how hyperlinks should work. And they were like, well, why don't we just link in the way that you and I know how links work? And they're like, no, every link should have all this information and it should be this perfect, like undefeatable system that's exactly so. And then he spent 30 years working on it and everything, the internet moved on completely. It's completely irrelevant. But like in 2010 or something, he finally released it. And everyone was like, cool, don't care.
Oh my gosh, that's so. Oh my gosh.
So that's part of what Xanadu is based on.
Oh, that honestly totally checks out. Like that makes total sense to me.
I did such a
that's
bad
so
job
funny.
explaining the project, but I explained the emotional truth of it, you know?
Yeah, no, I feel like I see it, I see the vision. We do get, and you mentioned this earlier, we do get one more musical sort of interlude here, which very welcome. And we then head back. Wait, sorry, lost my spot. We play Xanadu. Oh yes, okay. So we head back to the bureau because now Lula has given us the records. Donald helped us figure out where to go. And so we're at the bureau waiting for a ferry and we get a flashback moment. During this Xanadu event, there is a moment where you go up to the cemetery and I don't know how this works necessarily, but I had chosen to stay outside. I don't know if it was a choice or not, but it felt like a choice. I chose to stay outside with I think it was Junebug and Ezra, and then Conway and Shannon went inside this church.
It is
that was
not a
at the
choice.
cemetery.
That is the only way to do it.
Okay. Whew. And you wonder, and I as a player was like, wait, but what happened to Conway and Natalie? You get this in the flashback. So as the group is
Shannon.
waiting for the ferry, Shannon, as the group is waiting for the ferry to take them away, we learn that inside this church at the cemetery was the Hard Times Distillery. There's a factory underground. And Conway has been somehow like this all honestly happened so fast for me. I was like, what happened?
I had no idea what was
Conway-
going on the first time I played.
Right. You were getting this tour of the distillery by a skeleton, learning about what they do. I was on edge because I'm like, I know what this distillery is about because we knew what happened in the entertainment.
That's where
And
debts are
somehow
collected.
Conway has been roped into working for the distillery. There's a line where the skeleton is like, well, let's have a drink to toast your new job, essentially.
Mhm.
And Conway's like, well, I think I chose the option of like, well, what do you mean? I have this other job to do, the delivery. And the skeleton's like, at the very least, I got to charge you my time for this tour that we took,
Yeah.
that you spent so much of my time on,
Mhm.
the truck that we looked at, all of this stuff. And you have now been locked in, kind of a deal with the devil sort of situation, it feels
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And the heartbreaking thing is Conway has to take a drink, and he takes a drink of this Hard Times whiskey,
Mhm.
locking him into this contract.
Yeah.
And I was devastated.
It's a real moment of intersection for our themes, right? Because Conway has been
Right.
struggling with alcoholism this
Yep.
whole time, and so he's sort of breaking his sobriety.
Yep.
At the same moment that he's committing himself to that final debt that
Mhm.
is gonna lock him into being at this distillery. Oh God, I love the distillery scene so much.
It's so good.
Yeah.
But what it leads to is just heartbreaking.
The whiskey is aged in caskets, not casks. It's just so morbid, dude. It's so
Yeah.
morbid.
Yeah.
You can't talk to anybody there, and Lem is only able to talk because he has a little special company issued like tape recorder that like his voice comes out of the tape recorder on him, and nobody else can talk. The skeletons can't talk. They don't have
Yep.
voice boxes. That's flesh stuff.
Yep. Which you don't get.
And you can go up to all the skeletons, and then Lem will speak for them. They don't have voices anymore, and he will describe. They're defined entirely by the way that they came into debt. And there's so many different paths that people took to end up working at this distillery, but now they all look exactly the same.
Yes. There was a line, I think, well, not a line in the game, but shout out to, I think it was Caliste who said this in the Discord, and it really stuck with me because Caliste mentioned how, like, in this world, you know, you're expected to work until you've got nothing more to give than your bones, and then in this distillery, you're like still working.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god,
That's
Ah,
so
yep.
real. That's so good.
So shout out Caliste, that statement has stuck with me.
That's so good. A fun Easter egg. I believe when you walk down, like you start your tour, you can see the characters from the entertainment, sort of getting oriented.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
have to
and
be
then
sure
they're
to try
gone
that.
when you get back. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
pretty brutal. Pretty brutal.
It is. And so you know, the rest of the party, they learn that when we learn that. They all have sort of differing reactions, none of them positive, but they're all just kind of like processing it in their own ways. And the fairy arrives, the murky mammoth, and the act is done. So another, again, incredible revelation and cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Just top notch. And you get the Echo River phone line, which is a really fun interlude. I will admit, because I've been recording this as a Let's Play, and I realized I was like, this is probably really boring to listen to if you're not like actually doing it yourself. So I didn't like fully do all of it on recording, but
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
did spend time with all of it. And first of all, A+ to dedication from this team. What a fun idea. And I enjoy that we have this foreshadowing to prime us, because by this point I'm like, I know that this is priming us for what we're going to experience next. I am excited.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The two little notes I have here is that the narrator is Willie, who is going to be the first mate on the ferry that we're
Hmm.
board. So you can kind of hear his voice, which is nice. And he's describing the actual locations that we're going to visit in Act 4 when he's like, "Oh, what are the
Yeah.
tourist destinations on the Echo River?"
Yeah. What I really love, and this is sort of later on when you get to witness this in game, but in this interlude, they have sections, two extensions that you can call, that you could actually call at the time of development and
Yeah.
leave messages. And they had two questions. One is, what is your, I think, earliest memory? And the second is, why can't you sleep at night? And you actually get to hear voicemails,
Mm.
responses of people who called into this number later in the game, which just another
Is
just
that
incredible detail.
I could swear to you that there's at least one more that's like something along the lines of like talk about something wet or
Oh,
something
no,
like that.
that's true. I think it was the one with, oh, it might have been related to like the snake. They have one snake prompt.
Oh, yeah, the snake prompt, which I'm
It
terrified of
might have
snakes,
been
so I had
similar to
nothing to
that.
do with
Oh.
that.
So yeah, it's just what a great way to again like bleed the lines
Yeah.
and blur the lines between the game and life and you and the characters and
Mhm.
I just not much more to say about this interlude, I think, just other than it's just a really cool inclusion and I
Yeah.
appreciated it a lot.
It's great. It's great. I also think there might be some cheat codes to get different kinds of phones if you're curious.
Oh
Fun
my
fact.
gosh. What?
Yeah, I
That's
remember
cool.
some way you can use a different phone if you'd prefer. I think there might be a rotary phone.
Oh my gosh. I love that. I'm really curious. Do you happen to know later on when you listen to the messages, are they randomized? Do you
Oh,
know?
I have
Or
no
are
idea.
they okay? I'd
I
be
have no
really
idea.
curious. Developmentally, I'm like, the scope would be absolutely wild if they like had it be random from like a huge selection, but also, yeah, either one would be cool. I was just curious if there was any details on that.
I do not know. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh no, that's I'm like, what Katie doesn't know, then it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't exist if you don't know it.
It's a mental.
Nope. Yep. Um, so that brings us to Act 4, which I think I have a love-hate relationship with Act 4, I will say.
Really?
I
It's my favorite
do.
act. It's my favorite act, hands down.
I I love it,
Hmm.
but I think I was really sad we didn't get to like explicitly drive or explore anymore. I will admit that. It's the least gamey
Mm.
act.
Hmm.
So I think
Yeah.
now going into it with like the expectation and knowing what it is, I think I'll enjoy it more. But I think at the time I was just more like loving it, but also wondering like, but when do I get to drive? um,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I just love this one so much. There's just so
yeah.
much in it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I will say some of my absolute favorite like monologues and stories are in this act. So I am excited to talk about it. To summarize it, the group travels down the Echo River. We know that Conway has a very limited time frame until his work at the distillery begins, until his new employer comes to claim the debt, and we need to try and complete this delivery before dawn. Um, we end up going through a variety of locations, like a gas station, the rum colony, a phone booth, Redvinsky Center, Mushroom Grove, Monument, Salmonidas, and Claire's Performance. If you choose to get off the boat at every stop, you also have the option to stay on the boat and learn more about your characters that way. Um, let's stop here and talk about that journey. Uh, I guess, do you have a favorite stop or a favorite moment on the Echo River?
Oh gosh. I
I know it's
think
hard to pick.
I think it's probably the Mushroom Grove. Because you kind of get to
Mm,
know Kate better at the Mushroom Grove. And Kate is
yeah.
my favorite character. Oh, I love Kate. um, she's the captain of the ship.
Hmm.
She is a doula. So like she's like taking phone calls while she's captaining the ship because she's like, okay, so you're having this problem with your pregnancy. Maybe try eating this. And so, as part of her doula-ing activities, she collects mushrooms for pregnant women to like deal with their symptoms a little bit and to help them out. And because she's the captain of a ferry, we're on Echo River, which is a real underground river in the Mammoth Cave system. One of the tributaries of the Echo River is the River Styx. And so there's a real ferryman, Karen the ferryman, like type of vibe for me coming off of Kate. And so she's also a doula. And so for me, she represents this sort of person who sits on the edge between life and death and is very familiar and comfortable with that boundary, both coming and going. And I think it's really significant that she's also really interested in mushrooms, which are, you know, also like the organism in the kingdom. The fungi are like, they are also the most comfortable with things that are dead, like they grow off of decay, and they are new life that is coming out of the decay. And so to just be, and also the other thing about Kate, sorry, I just love Kate so much.
Oh, keep going. Yeah.
She decided to become a doula after her miscarriage. Which is like this moment where life and death were like superimposed on each other. They were both happening at the same time. And so for her to go to the mushroom grove with Ezra, this like orphan, and to like, it's very sweet and sad just to see her, like how good she is with Ezra and how she's like teaching him things.
Yeah.
Willie also has one of my favorite lines in the game, which is actually a quote from John Cage. He says that mushrooms escape your erudition because mushrooms just are what they are.
Yeah.
I still say that whenever someone's like, oh, I went mushroom hunting. I was like, oh, be careful. Mushrooms escape your erudition. And they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, don't worry about it.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, no, I just love that's why I love the Mushroom Grove, because it's the Kate time, and I just love getting to learn about Kate.
Yeah, I was amazed at how, because she's also one of my favorite characters as well. And, you know, we meet her relatively late in the game, and she so quickly just like also grabbed my heart.
Yeah.
So just again, it's one of the, she's another character where I feel like I see her face. You know, it's like she's so clear in my mind, and I just forget that like she doesn't have a face technically in the game, like the features. So yeah, I also love Kate so much. I think my favorite scene is in oh gosh, it's near the end, where you meet Poppy in the switchboard operator. And she has this section where she talks about her role and how it's evolved over the years because, you know, the switchboard operators don't really need them anymore. And she talks about how her colleagues have slowly like all left to have families. They've been replaced by different automated systems. We've been talking about that. And she's the sole one remaining, because she is left to train the machine, and the machine is trying to learn sort of this human timing of what she does. And she asks this question of like, I am worried that, you know, am I not only training my replacement, but actually is it cheaper to keep me around? Am I the machine? That line blew me away. I had to like stop playing for a second. It was, I think that and like the plane, the two brothers pushing the plane, or the two men pushing the plane, are probably some of the most striking moments. Yeah, I just
You're
that
not
and then
wrong.
1 and Act 5. It's just her story.
Yeah, and it's about
really
automation.
hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really that theme of automation coming back around. And I think that so back in the distillery, Lem talks about like the machinery and like the sort of algorithm that they have developed to like automatically calculate everyone's debts and how it makes everything better. And Weaver actually is the person who came and developed that algorithm for you. Thanks a lot, Weaver. He talks about Weaver like she's Jesus Christ and she brought them the good news of God, and these
Right.
machines are divine in some capacity. And then you hear Poppy talking about the machine, and she's like, I feel like I the machine? I have become made a machine, much like Conway is sort of being replaced piece by piece through the power of debt and automation. And now also in this chapter, Conway's arm has now become skeletal.
Yes.
The arm that he used to take that drink with.
Yes. Ugh.
And yeah, I think that it really feels relevant right now, kind of in the wake of dealing with ChatGPT, and I'm the number one ChatGPT hater in my life.
Oh man, we might be tied. We might be tied.
You know what's really annoying? Just as an aside, it is really annoying to have to get like told about like really cool games, and somebody emails you and like, hey, here's a key to my game. It'll be really cool. And I was like, awesome.
God,
hey, did AI make this game? Because I can't talk about it if I made it. I'm not going to.
Oh,
it's
so
so
true.
awkward.
I hate it so much, but it's necessary. Like for me and for you, I feel like it's necessary now. It's like just tell me. just tell
like,
me.
I talk to a lot of people who believe very strongly in the power of AI because of the people I know in my life. And it's so maddening because it's just so clear to me that what they want is a god. They want God to be real. Right? And it's kind of the hollowing out of religion and replacing it with a machine, because the machine, this is me just talking about ChatGPT right now. The machine is not only God, it's not only dad, it's the thing you can ask any question and it will take care of all your problems, but it also tells you that you're God. So it's the snake eating its own tail of like just corrupted souls.
Right. I mean, we can, like, what is it? The Ouroboros? The Ouroboros. Like, AI is an Ouroboros, right?
Yeah.
It is consuming itself. It is, oh, I hate it so much. But one of the things, just to add on to that, what I thought about with Poppy specifically is this idea of like, it seems like we're automating things, but there still is a very distinct and strong human cost to what's happening. And not just like the environmental stuff. We could go on all about that. But I think about like I think there was like a self-driving car, not the Waymos. I think is another
this
test
thing.
happening,
Yes.
where it's like, in theory, it's AI driving these cars, but actually humans are still within the systems, like helping make sure things go right. I think there's a fast food drive-through that I saw reported. I think The Verge wrote about this. 404 or The Verge, one of the two. They reported on this like drive-through company that was using AI and saying like, oh, we don't need humans to use this drive-through. Guess what? Human labor actually was doing a lot of the work in the background. It wasn't the AI. And so I thought of that when seeing Poppy, where it's like you think you have this efficient automated system that's so good and modern and new, but really you are still exploiting humans, and now you're just pretending that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah. No, I think so there's a term called de-skilling, which I think is what we're talking about here, which is where you take all the part of someone's job that requires their judgment and them to have like a skill and for them to like have accountability. And instead you are saying like, okay, your job now, Poppy, she talks about voice being like a touch, right?
Yes.
Now she doesn't talk to anybody. She doesn't reach out and touch them, with her voice. I'm like reaching forward and like knocking.
I know. I'm like, I can feel it. I feel your touch.
You felt my touch. Oh my gosh, how appropriate. Like she's unable to touch people now. She is just sort of the hand reaching in and twisting it. And it's dehumanizing, first of all, and it's disenfranchising, both like in your labor, like caring about your day-to-day labor, and also in your like bargaining power as a laborer. because they just say like, oh well, we'll just replace you tomorrow. We don't need someone with skill to do this job, and it drives me insane. It drives me insane.
Yep. Same. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So for me, that was my favorite part, or one of my favorite parts of Act 4. Honestly, looking back, I'm like, I feel more into Act 4 looking back on it than I did as I was playing. Again, I think it's because I had just different expectations. So
no more zero.
Yeah, no more zero. I wasn't prepared. To keep us moving along down the river and through this, we have to finish one of the arcs that we have begun, and that is actually at this conversation with Poppy. Morning has come, and we've been going through like these bat caves, bat sanctuary, and throughout this bat sanctuary, there is another boat with two skeletons that just sort of weaves in and out of our vision, behind us, in front of us, like just they're there, and we know that Conway's time is here.
They're like stalking us.
Yeah, it's really, again, it's another really eerie part.
Horror
and at
moment,
this point, you know, it's like, I'm not going to get jump scared, but I know the thing I don't want to happen is about to happen.
Yeah.
And Conway, depending on sort of how you interpret it, either sort of more willingly parts ways or is taken from the group.
I mean, he's been drinking this whole time. I don't know if he really even has the ability to consent at this point.
Yeah, that is actually very true. Because, ever since that drink of Hard Times whiskey, he has down the river just been continuously searching for alcohol, continuing to consume it. So he doesn't, you're right. He doesn't even really have the wherewithal to consent. It's a heartbreaking scene, and multiple people mentioned this in Discord, partially because you don't get to say goodbye. It just happens. He's
shiver
all of a sudden on a boat. Yeah.
When you said that.
He just is going off. Especially this is your second time, like knowing it's happening. How did you feel going into this moment?
I felt more prepared to remember Poppy's story. If I'm totally honest with you, I am so impressed that you remembered Poppy's story, because like the Conway scene completely, I forgot Poppy even existed. Ha ha, how sad.
Oh
no. So I'm really, really glad that we took the time to talk to her this time. But it was really hard to then start Act 5, because Act 4 ends like this. Like, it was so hard.
Yeah. Do you have any, before we move into the interlude, because that sort of, other than, unfortunately, Shannon, there's one choice that actually we'll talk about, but after this happens, Shannon essentially floats down the river, syncs back up with the group, and again, you have a few more spots, but that's the end of Act 4. Essentially, you reach the silo of late reflection. You find out you have to carry the delivery by hand and foot to its final destination, because the truck actually can't go upstairs. So
we talk about community.
Yep, exactly. So you've got a lot of people that come and help you now. But I guess any last thoughts on Act 4 and how it ended? Especially, I think there's one big choice and one decision, which I didn't even realize was a decision I was making until afterwards, when I was looking up and reading
that it is a decision.
Yep.
Let's just talk about it. Did you send the dog with Conway? What happened to you?
Okay, I didn't know what this. Well, so as Conway is floating away down the tunnel with a full skeleton now with the two other skeletons, you see Blue on the side of this dock area, and you get a skull and the back arrow. In some desperation, I was like, maybe the skull is like sending him away, and the back arrow is calling him back somehow.
Maybe you can do something.
I know, maybe I can do something. And so I chose the back arrow because the skull just seemed too ominous for me.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't realize that the back arrow made the decision for Blue to stay with us versus going off with Conway.
Yeah. I always send Blue with everybody else. I feel like Blue has more life to live.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy because I didn't know, and I'm very happy that I chose what I did because I would have been so sad if Blue did not come with us.
I know. Oh my gosh. No, I think one time I sent Blue with Conway. I think it was Homer at the time.
Oh my gosh.
Oh. But yeah, no, I never since that, like, I was like, because then Blue doesn't show up in Act 5, and I just felt like the cats were so lonely without Blue.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes.
So yeah, that's what I think about that. Okay, I do have some fun facts for you.
Yes.
Fun fact rapid fire. So we end up on Lake Lethe, which of course is a river in Greek mythology that you drink from to forget. Hades fans know.
Yes.
And Sam and Ida talk about remembering recipes and fishing spots and how they struggle to or can't. So memory is a really big part here, as well as the Radvansky Memory Clinic.
Yes.
Which is actually a real memory clinic, but I couldn't, like, it's not famous or anything. It's just like in Canada. And I even, when I was working on the video, I even sent them like an email and I was like, hey, how did you guys get your name?
Right.
They never wrote me back. They never wrote me back.
I wonder if they were just like, what the heck is this person?
I think they were probably busy providing health care. Like, I mean, that's fair.
True.
But I was like, yeah, what the heck? I'll just send him a message. But no.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
And also the rum colony is kind of a reference to the lotus eaters because everybody's wearing those flower leis. It's a place where people forget their troubles, and Conway is especially forgetting a lot of his troubles. And he specifically references like, oh, it must be the smell of these flowers.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's such a good call. Oh, what I really loved is when you actually, I think it's after the performance at the Rum Colony, you can walk over to Conway and you see him sitting and talking with skeletons in sort of his drunken stupor a little bit.
Yeah. And she's like, don't talk to those guys. And he's like, what? They're fine.
So again, that was just another moment where like the dread was just kind of building for knowing that like Conway is lost to us now. Kind of a sharp edge on an otherwise like very, very chill, lovely scene. It was interesting in the Discord discussion. One person, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on who, so sorry if I can't remember who mentioned this, but there was the sense of like betrayal from Conway, like that Conway did not put up more of like a fight or resist this sort of last debt, getting pulled into this, and not resisting it anymore. And I'm curious if you have any, I'm putting you on the spot here, but I'm curious if you had any thoughts on this, on Conway and his arc and sort of like, why doesn't he resist? Why do you think he just kind of like accepts that this is, the way that he has to sort of finish out his life, essentially?
I think that he doesn't really have enough to fight for. I mean, because he has companionship with Shannon and everything, but like he just met Shannon earlier tonight. Right. It's not like it's their lifelong buddies necessarily. Like he doesn't know whether or not Shannon really has any loyalty to him or not. They just met. And we know that he doesn't really have anything left to go back to. We find out that he was actually responsible in some way for Lizette's son Charlie's death. And that Lizette is actually losing her memory and is retiring. And so he's about to be out of a job. And I think he just doesn't really have enough to fight for. But I guess I would say to anybody who feels like that sense of frustration, like I wish Conway had put up more of a fight, that like that's a good sign that you feel that way. It's good. It's good to feel
Yeah.
that way. And we're just witnessing someone who does not share that same spark that you still have. Hold on to it.
Right. Well, and I think it sort of, for me, it was a reminder because I think you're absolutely right. Like Conway doesn't have, he doesn't see anything left to fight for. And I think Hard Times Distillery is, it's easy, you know? Like I
Yeah.
think he mentions like you do get a bed, you get food, even though it's like cafeteria food. It's got a security to it, even
Yeah.
though it's not what you would want necessarily. It's not your first choice, but
Yeah.
it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And I think it made me think about, like, honestly, who is there a Conway that I know, like who I can like potentially, like who are the Conways in our lives, and how can we make sure to offer support to people,
Yes.
so they don't feel like they don't have any options,
Yeah.
like just in a variety of situations. You
Yeah.
know, it's just, yeah.
I mean, addiction and debt are both reasons that people end up in those places too.
Right.
Real, actual things. Or is debt real?
Mm-hmm. Is debt real? It
That's
sucks
going
because
to
it's
stay
like,
with me long after this podcast.
I hate it because it is and it isn't,
Yeah.
because it has real impacts, but I hate it because,
Yeah.
God damn it, we just made it up.
Yeah.
It's all made up. Just like
Usury is a
money,
sin in
but
the Bible.
yeah. Right? Oh my gosh. But that brings us to the end of Act 4. And we have an interlude. It's called, apologies, I do not speak Spanish. So,
Yeah, me
un
neither.
pueblo de nada.
Sounds good.
And it is both a playable interlude, but it's one that you can watch as well. It's on YouTube, and I think I linked it, but if I didn't, I will link it again in this week's newsletter. It's set at the WEPV TV station, which we have heard about throughout this story. And we see Emily, Bob, and Ben, our familiar friends, at work running the evening's broadcast amidst a torrential downpour. In fact, this is turning into like a emergency flood situation. That is the very, very short summary. They also discuss this pirate broadcaster, Weaver, who they expect it's about time for one of her broadcasts to come through. She takes over the airwaves and runs sort of a cryptic show every couple, I think they mention every month or two. And so we witnessed the evening that they spend together doing this broadcast, community TV.
This is my favorite interlude. I love it so much. I love community TV. I love how weird it is. I really like the guy who's like, those horses were wild. Everything you
Right.
saw was wild.
Yeah, Ron, I love that so much.
It's just so great. There's so many different little things too. Like little tiny mini moments, and the performance, the live action performance is like really good. It's like very funny.
It's so good. I didn't watch. I played it first, and then I watched the live action performance. And I saw, I forget, I think it was on a wiki somewhere. But if you time it just right, you can actually have them. Like if you have two screens, for example, two monitors, you can hit play on the like YouTube broadcast and play it and time it in sync with the game.
That's so cool.
Which is amazing. I don't know if I'll do it, but shout out to anyone who tries it. I think that is so cool.
It's rad. It's very Pink Floyd.
Yeah, it really is. I guess anything else you'd like to add on this interlude?
I think nothing that I wouldn't talk about in Act 5. We can keep going.
Okay, perfect. So Act 5, the conclusion to the game. We are with our crew of Shannon, Junebug, Joseph, Ezra, everyone who's been on the boat with us on this journey. We've made it to the town, which is presumably the location of 5 Dogwood Drive. We have finally made it, hand carrying the antiques up the silo stairs. And we have our final major perspective change, where we are now playing as a little black cat
It's so cute.
that has joined in. I believe we actually see it in the final scene of Act 4. And it has joined us. And there's also a white cat, Coconut, which joined us at I think it was the Radovinsky Center, where Coconut joins in the crew. So we have a cat perspective, which is so fun. And I will admit, like, it feels very good to run around as this cat. Throughout this act, we have various scenes where we see the aftermath of the flood. People have come together to sort of survey the damage, mourn what's been lost, and determine what their next steps are. And you get asked a lot of questions that I think influence maybe a little bit of what goes on. I actually am not sure. So yeah, this is the end. Where to begin? I guess, do you have a spot you'd like to start?
Yeah, I'll start with Emily, Bob, and Ben, who in one scene, you kind of go around as this cat and you kind of run into different scenes, kind of going in a circle. So again, we have that circular movement.
Circle, yeah.
And you can find Shannon kind of interacting with Emily, Bob, and Ben, who are playing a tabletop role-playing game, except they need a dice. And if Conway picked up the dice way back in Act 1, he kept it in his jacket pocket. And then he gave Shannon his jacket because, like, she was cold on the river. And so she has that die in her pocket that they picked up in Act 1, which I think is so lovely.
Oh my gosh.
And so it's really just a beautiful full circle moment, and I love that so much.
Circle moment. Oh my god.
And then I think the other thing I want to talk about is the burial mound, sort of in the center of the town. If, as the cat, you walk the mound, like the trail that it causes, which is like a spiral and then it trails off, you get an achievement. And I think the shape of this spiral, it's a spiral and then it sort of trails off, it zigzags off in one direction. And that, I think, is really reminiscent of the journey that we went on. Something that felt like we were going in circles, but we were actually going somewhere. And then we kind of went off in a direction, and now that we're off in a direction, we're going to make a bunch of more weird zigzags. And it's never really done.
Oh, I love that. And I did not realize you could get an achievement just by running the path that the mounds makes.
Isn't that cool?
Oh, that's really cool. Okay, I'll have to, again, another reason to go back and play the game.
And then, I'm sorry, I just have so many Act 5 thoughts that I'm just like
please
running
go
through.
ahead.
I'll just do two more. The other is the Unpueblo de Nada, the people of nowhere that the interlude is named for, were the original sort of native inhabitants of. They weren't the native inhabitants of this place. They were actually settlers that came up from Mexico to sort of settle this place, and they were utopians. And they believed that what we're going to do is we're going to build stuff, and then we're going to come together and talk about it. And if we don't like it, then we're going to tear it down. And they were like very open to tearing stuff down. And this, I think, is sort of like the game's idea for like, how do you rebuild after a giant flood has come and knocked down your town? Like, how do we rebuild a future like the Dymaxion house? Like, that was a big mistake for sure. But like, maybe like trying to build the Dymaxion house and then tearing it down is so much better than building nothing at all, you know?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, and to bring it back to like the hermit crabs, for example, where it's like being okay to put something aside when you don't fit anymore, and like finding something that does work for you. Yeah.
And then the final observation that I'll just sort of drop here for thought is Dogwood Drive is just like an empty A-frame. And then it tells you, what do you want to make this? What are some of the options? I know like a library is an option. Like a performance space, I think, because there's a concert there at the end. There's a couple of different things you can decide what to do with it, and I don't remember what they all are. But like then at the end of the game, when you come up to it, it's been rearranged to be whatever it was that you want it to be. Which is, you pick the future. You decide. You are an actor here. You have to do something.
Oh my gosh, that's so. I I love this ending. I loved it a lot. I think you have it mentioned here, so shout out to you for putting this in, but you have this biblical flood of biblical proportions that has happened. And I think a lot of the characters are grappling with, is it time for me to go? And what I love is that for some of these characters, at least for me canonically, I'm like, yeah, I do think some of you, it's time for you to go. I think you have been in this spot, and maybe these the ghosts that are here are not for you anymore. And you should find maybe a different spot that fits your hopes and your like goals more. But there are people who have just arrived who I think maybe the ghosts can help inspire you and help inspire hope to build something. And for these people, they should stay. And I think this idea of like not everybody has to stay and not everybody has to go was one that I really appreciated in this final act.
Do you know what's insane to me? I'm realizing just in this moment, you could
Mm-hmm.
also be talking about the end of 1000 Times Resist, like 1-to-1.
Yep. That's why these are my favorite games now. Like, just so good. Oh my gosh.
So, game developers, that's how you end a game, just so you know, and then we'll be on
Yeah,
board.
it's fine. It's like, I love it. I'll be happy. Great.
Mm-hmm.
um, I think one of the most striking, maybe like, it's not like a full scene, but sort of character arcs within Act 4 for me was Ron and the horses. And most people in the village are, doing various things to rebuild, to try and like sort of reset themselves in this new reality that they're in. But a lot of them, I think a small handful, well, not a lot, small handful, are working towards this memorial for two horses in particular that they found like dead after the flood. There's this is what also got me crying was I believe is it Emily that does the sort of service, like leads the service for these two horses, and she calls one the silver one and one the other one. And for some reason, like her sort of explanation through that just like I had been holding it back the whole time. Act 4 had me choked up for most of it. Emily doing the service for these two horses got me. I was crying.
I
And me
also,
crying.
what did you think of the song choice?
Oh man, I I have to remember the lyrics. I remember really liking it in the moment. I admittedly cannot remember the lyrics right now. Um, Let me look that up really fast. Or do you
Yeah.
have it
No, I'm also
memorized?
looking it up.
Yeah. Okay, let me see. I do remember, I mean, at this point I was also very like emotionally open. So I'm like, you sing a melancholy sounding
Yeah,
like song, I will cry.
I'll be
Like
there.
you got me. Yeah. So
That's right. I'm
um
going that way.
I'm going that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um
And
yeah,
so,
I don't know.
mm,
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, for me, the song is really about inviting everyone to go with you. Even though the
Mhm.
literal lyrics of the song are about sort of accepting that you're going to die and that you are dying,
Yeah.
kind of like Conway. In fact, I find the lyrics to be really optimistic, in that you've found this sort of misfit band of people, and
Mhm.
you have chosen a direction because you are an actor in the future,
Yep.
and so you have to choose what to do with the space that you're given. What do you do to Dogwood Drive? And you now are singing this song as sort of an invitation to everyone else to join you. And I
Yep.
think that's so beautiful, dude. I just love that so much.
It is. And I think what struck me as well, just visually within the scene, as the song progresses, it starts with just Emily. I think it's just Emily. And then as the verses progress, more voices from not only the people who are sort of standing around this memorial site
Yeah.
with the horses are singing along, but you see the silhouettes. And these are silhouettes that have been through Act 5.
Yeah.
where you've interacted with some of them in these little scene vignettes throughout the act. And these are like the ghosts of all these other people who have
Join in.
inhabited this place. And
Yes.
they all join in. And so you have this chorus that ends up singing by the end of it. And again, I'm like, this is like
It's-
classic sort of just get me cry moment. Yeah.
It's really
Like,
gorgeous. It really is. It's such a good ending. And oh man, I just love that they're called the neighbors.
right. Yeah. We learned that the horses are called the neighbors.
I love how Ron is sort of digging the grave out of anger. Like it's anger towards consolidated power that's like fueling him.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
That's all right.
But I think so. I say this in the video, but I'll just say it here. I think that a funeral is a really optimistic act. I think it's like it's sad when someone dies, and it can feel like a sad thing that now we're having a funeral. But in fact, the funeral is a way of saying that yes, it's accepting the reality of what's happened. It's accepting that we are here after the impasse, the tragedy has occurred, and yet we are going to proceed forward as a community. And we will find community in this space that is now has a big hole in it. And here the hole is the neighbors, which I think represent a lot of different things. But yeah, no, that's I think that's what I got to say about that.
Yeah. And just to add to like your thought, funerals being hopeful, I think is a great point. And just to add to that, it's like, it is another place where often you see the intersection of like both death and life. Like I just, in my personal experience, when I've gone to funerals or memorials, that's often when I see like extended family and friends and like the younger generations that I don't often get to connect with all the time. But it's a reminder of like what's come both before you and what's coming after you.
Yeah.
And so there is that perspective that is hopeful. And then also the idea of just remembering, like taking time to stop and remember, which we've had a whole, Act 4 was a lot about forgetting and not being able to retain the memories of lots of different things.
Yeah.
And so to have time and space to stop and remember and create a space for remembering is also so important. And it's interesting because it's like, the Museum of Dwellings is a place technically to kind of remember, but it has a very different feeling than this does.
It's a place to remember dwellings, though, not people.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I love this ending. I will be thinking about it for a long time.
Yeah. I still am thinking about it, baby.
Yeah, I know. Years later, years down the road.
Yeah.
We do have, if you've got time and if you're not too tired, we do have some questions. We may not get to all of them. So thank you to everybody who emailed questions about Kentucky Route Zero. There's so many really good, really thoughtful ones. I think if we could go maybe and pick like 3, we have so many. I'll make sure to bring these questions to the Hangout for anyone who's interested in just discussing more. These can be kickoff questions for us as we talk through as a community together. But for today, I guess do you happen to have one, or would you like me to just pick one to go from?
Pick one. There's so many good ones here.
I know there's so many. Let me see. We've addressed, fortunately, we've addressed a fair number of it. Here's one from Emily. She said, I've been playing Kentucky Route Zero and I love it, but I'm still struggling with understanding what's going on. What advice would you give to someone who still wants to work through it but is having trouble?
Okay. Emily, I strongly relate to your experience because this is me with pretty much everything. I really have a hard time following plots. Okay, I'll tell you what I think. Maybe you've got some better ideas. You are an actual teacher. I am just a lady
Gosh, no.
out in the world. Honestly, read a summary. That's what I do. I read a summary and then I'm like, oh, that's when this thing happens. It's very helpful to me. And then I also get excited about like a detail that I read, and I'm like excited to see that happen. So yeah, I'm also like very like apathetic to spoilers. Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, I think that would also be my number one tip. It's what I actually told my students when teaching English. Like, if you are struggling to like get through a book, honestly, go read the Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
I am not ashamed as a teacher to tell you to go to the Cliff Notes. Don't like 100% lean on them, but use them to prime you so that you understand what's coming and so you can see the signs and be able to make those connections. Yeah, it's a teaching strategy. At one point, I remembered the official name for it, and I am not remembering what that is right now. But essentially, you're building those bridges and building the connections ahead of time, so it just makes the bridge easier to cross. You're not having to like leap over a chasm, essentially.
I gotta tell you, just knowing that there is an official name for it makes me feel like way less of a fraud.
Yeah, there is an official name for it, and it's just I've been out of the classroom for so long, I'm forgetting what I learned in teacher school. But that's the number one recommendation I have is like, because I also even though like on stream I'm like don't spoil it, it's mostly because that helps backseaters. I actually am relatively averse, like fine with spoilers as well, because the experience of playing it is a whole different ball game, right? When you're in it, that things will still hit emotionally. So yeah, prime yourself, do that sort of background prep, and then I would say
I kind of feel like if the spoiler ruins the experience for you, the experience wasn't that good.
Honestly, I think you have a really strong point.
If all you had was the twist, then like, come on, what are we doing?
Right. Oh my gosh. And honestly, like if you have been listening this far into the podcast, haven't played the game yet, I think you have been primed, quite frankly.
Yeah, exactly.
I think listening to something like this is a great primer where, it's just helping you access this information, especially in a game that is this dense. Because I think even I playing this game at times had to say, I need to pause and like just go take a walk. And that also could be a strategy. Just like get fresh air for a second, do something else. Because it is a lot of reading. And I wouldn't say every person, you might be, your mileage may vary, but every person has a different reading sort of endurance. And I would say not everyone can read a whole book in one sitting,
Yeah. Few people can.
Few people can, yeah. And Chase. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just complete your sentence.
Yeah.
Chase the moments that you find yourself coming back to.
Yep.
Like you talked about the people pushing the plane. I've played this game 3 or 4 times now. I don't know what that scene means, but I think about it all the time. It really sticks with me. And like, just even if you only played Act 1 and you still keep thinking about that game, well, that scene rather, or one scene from the game and you didn't finish it, like, I think you enjoyed Kentucky Route Zero. You're good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah. I think, I don't know, I am a staunch believer that you do not have to finish a game to say that you liked it, didn't like it. Like, yeah. So I think even if you just played Act 1, even if you just played an interlude, like you can still develop an opinion on it and talk about it. So yeah.
I'm really bad about reading only the first 2 or 3 chapters of a nonfiction book and being like, I mostly get the main points. Okay.
Yeah, I've absorbed all the knowledge I need. Thank you.
This is what I needed to know. Thanks. Great. Okay, moving on.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. This one is from Valis. So thank you, Valis. And this is more specifically for you. And I want to ask, since you're here, since this was not your first time playing, what were some of the things that had new meaning to you, Katie, in your second playthrough?
Oh, yes.
Or third or fourth?
I think learning about the I think in Act 1 there's a few things. There's the museum trips. Like the museum means a lot more to me the second playthrough or third or fourth. seeing Joseph's art or like art project and then getting to talk to him about it. Things that had new meaning to me, though. I think the half asleep moments, like finding myself just sort of lost in the reverie. I think like I really valued those moments and I engaged with them much more intentionally, which I think has pros and cons, right? Because like part of the value of a half asleep moment is that it could catch you unawares. And so when you're like, oh, I'm ready, the TV is here, I'm ready to do my half asleep moment, it's a different experience, but it had new meaning to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. I love that. Actually, this is selfishly from me because I've been thinking about this.
Yeah.
I'm curious what the zero means or is to you.
Yeah. For me, it is the bottoming out. It's level 0. It is where you end up. It is the people who end up on the 0 are the people that capitalism says have no value, right? If you end up on the 0, things are not going well for you. So Kentucky Route Zero, when people say like, oh, you know, sometimes in society people just fall through the cracks, the 0 is that crack. It's confusing.
It's like the crevice under the crack. Yeah.
Yeah. It's confusing. It's weird. It's I don't know what's going on here. It's but you know, it's also really beautiful. And there's some fantastic performances. Junebug.
My gosh, yeah.
It's a rich place. It's where mushrooms grow.
It's where mushrooms grow. Oh my gosh. And while I think we touched on it, I think this is a nice question to start closing out our discussion. Thank you to B, who asked, do you feel like Kentucky Route Zero believes it's possible to build something better for ourselves?
100%. No doubt in my mind. Yeah.
Same. But I think is a testament to also you don't do it alone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ourselves, plural, is essential there.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a key word in that question. So thank you so much for asking, B.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. I will say we have hit like basically the 3-hour mark at this point. We have so much still that we did not discuss. There were a lot of questions that were submitted that we didn't get to, although I think we weaved responses to a decent number of them throughout our discussion. But I will bring all of these questions, and you should bring your questions to the discussion on February 28th, Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific, if you're able to make it. Folks, if you're happy to just lurk, we've had people come in and just lurk to listen to the conversation, just vibe for a little bit. So you're welcome to do that. There's no pressure to talk if you don't want to. We also have a chat, so you can chat and not use your voice, not turn on a camera or anything. So come at your comfort
so nice.
level.
I love that so much. Now that's a church I can get behind.
Exactly. Yeah. Come, unlike hopefully the storage unit, we won't play a cassette to empty audiences. There will be people. But yeah, come and just relax and talk about Kentucky Route Zero, because there's so much we didn't get into because this game is just too big.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
Yeah. Just for a little bit of housekeeping as we are winding down. Katie, please remind us, where can we find your work and what do you have coming up if you're able to share?
Yeah, I am at Katie and Catburger, and I am releasing, oh my God, I think it's going to be 2 hours. I think it's unfortunately going to be 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
A video,
Let's go.
A sequel to my first video about Slay the Princess, covering the third chapter on March 5th. It's happening, or I'll be dead. One of those two things will happen. So,
oh my goodness. I will remember to check in.
Yeah, so what's coming up next on the Geeks and Grounds podcast?
So, we are going into some family drama time. I'm very excited, and it'll be a very, I think, a good change of pace from Kentucky Route Zero. We're going to be spending the month of March scouring the internet and contents of a certain family's computer in next month's game, which is The Root Trees Are Dead. This was a community voted game, I believe. Actually, I should double check that. Either way, I'm excited to be playing it, and I hope you are too. We'll be joined by Enna of Stumped to introduce this sordid tale of family and greed. I am so excited, and we're going to share some indie highlights from March as well as get to know Enna in the next episode, which will release on March 10th. So you can check out the playthrough guide now on geeksandgrounds.com. You can always get started ahead of time. We have the whole month to play it. So the thread will be up and ready to go by the end of February, probably by the 28th, actually, because that is the actual end of February. And that is it for this episode. I hope that you all find your 5 Dogwood Drive. If not today, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. But I'm excited to see what you all build there. And I will see you all in the next episode. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm going that way. Yes, dear, the Savior I adore is with me each day. I'm clinging to Him and never to stray. Just singing praises all